Yolo Moja presidential campaigns across the country, with a mega tour expected at the end of the week in the Rift Valley region. Odinga was accompanied to the UK with, among others, Governors Charity Ngilu of Kitui and Hassan Joho of Mombasa, Kotu boss Francis Atwoli, former Gatanga MP Pete Kenneth, Siaya Senator James Orengo, and Suna East MP Janet Mohammed. His loyal lieutenants, led by ODM Secretary General Edwin Sifuna and Kieni MP Kanini Kega, have been traversing across the country to popularize his presidential bid in his absence. Now, former First Lady Mama Ngina Kenyatta has waded into President Uhuru Kenyatta's succession talk with a call to residents of Mount Kenya to support the head of state's position. Mama Ngina made the rare comments in Kafangi village of Gatundu South Kiambu County. She said President Kenyatta will not mislead the people of Kenya and that he has the best interest of country at heart. And Deputy President William Ruto says he has a track record to prove his capability to be the country's fifth president. Ruto, who took the Kenya Kwanza campaigns to Nyeri County, said his opponents have nothing to show for the time they served in government. The DP was speaking at a rally to launch the gubernatorial bid of former Labour Chief Administrative Secretary Patrick Olen Tutu, who is vying on a UDA ticket. While making his address, the DP accused their opponents of spreading politics of fear and division within the county that is dominated by two communities of Maasai and the Kipsigis. He urged residents to resist the attempt to divide them and instead be united even as the election approaches. And Speaker of the National Assembly, Justin Muturi, has refuted claims that his name will not be on the ballot during the August general election. This comes as speculation grows that Muturi will drop out of the race for State House in favor of either Deputy President William Ruto or ODM leader Raila Odinga, who are seen as the front-runners. Muturi, on the other hand, has assured his supporters that he will run on a Democratic Party ticket for the position. And Jubilee Party has extended the application deadline for members seeking the party's nomination ticket ahead of the forthcoming August elections. Citing the overwhelming interest from candidates to join the ruling party, the Jubilee National Elections Board resolved to add 3 more days for other hopefuls to tender the applications document. The President Uhuru Kenyatta-led party made the official communication yesterday as it implored interested members to register on the party's website. And 3 witnesses in the ongoing murder case against Migori Governor Okoh testified that they found blood-stained tracksuit and 2 used condoms at the scene of the murder of Sharon Otieno and baby Sharon. Also found was an empty sachet of illicit brew and a pair of blue open shoes, according to the Office of the Public Prosecutions. The revelation was made when the prosecution presented 3 witnesses in the ongoing case, who also stated that Sharon's undergarments were also found at the scene. Now, the Kenya Meteorological Department has issued an alert over expected rainfall in various parts of the country for the next 7 days. Heavy rainfall is projected over the highlands west of the Rift Valley, as well as over a few areas in the highlands east of the Rift Valley, the southeastern lowlands, northwestern and northeastern Kenya. In the 7-day weather forecast, the highlands west of the Rift Valley, the Lake Victoria Basin, and the central and south Rift Valley are expected to observe morning and afternoon rains as well as night showers. This is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aseto. Good morning.
SpiceFM, Nyeri.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on SpiceFM.
This nation has never healed genuinely from the 2000-2008 violence. We've never had a healing process. We've swept it under the rug.
Let me tell you, the handshake was the most disastrous political event in the history of country after the coup attempt of 1982.
There's no Kikuyu pothole, Luo lack of water,
right.
Okamba, lack of traffic. Yeah. There is no Luya lack of drugs in the hospitals. Ojaluo one. All our issues are the same issues.
If you are in a room and just about everybody in that room has a court case or another, what impression does that give you?
What are you saying?
Why haven't you done it in the last 20 years? But they're telling us, like August, some miracle is going to happen. My friend, I want to tell Kenyans you'll be in for a rude shock.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
It's the middle of the week, and what do we see on Nairobi streets this morning? Traffic really hasn't started in any way, shape or form. We know that there are folks out on the streets, but in terms of any bumper-to-bumper action anywhere, hasn't really started this morning. We're seeing a little bit of action on Jogo Road, and Thika Superhighway is building up here and there, coming out of Westlands as well. We'll take a look, see in about half an hour and see what the roads are looking like. But for now, if you're out, you should be all right. And if you haven't, you will still be all right, at least for a little while. SpiceFM KE on Twitter, text 40127. Let's know what's going on with you, and we'll keep things moving this Wednesday.
Spice FM, Malindi. This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up.
How you doing? Welcome to Kenya's biggest conversation at 7 minutes after 6 on the 23rd of March 2022. Expressway bado itafunguliwa tu. Msijali. Keep the faith. Keep the faith. City.
Yes.
How you doing?
I am well. Actually, what you say holds a great deal of truth because even around GPO, you actually see lights on the expressway. And you see them for 200 meters and then darkness thereafter. So let's appreciate the lights that we see at GPO.
So Okoh, you see the lights?
You see the lights, yes.
On the viaduct?
Yes, kabisa. And then it continues as you get near Parliament. Normal services get resumed. Yes, and you're in now darkness. So it is good.
There are people who've driven on sections of this expressway. As they say.
I've even seen vehicles driving in certain sections around Westlands. Yes.
All we want is Uhuru to come from Machakos to Maimahiu. Yes. Hiyo tu. Hatutaki nini mingi. Hatutaki mambo mingi. Sisi hatuna ubaya na mtu. Ndu,
hey.
How you doing?
I'm fine, thank you.
You're well?
Yes.
Keeping well?
I am.
You had a good day?
I did.
What did you do?
Nothing much, actually. Actually, that's not true. I read quite a bit.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Welcome to Kenya's biggest conversation. We'll have several conversations reflecting what's happening in the country and around the world. Keep it here for all that. And also, of course, you know, we keep looking at COVID-19 in numbers. We look at the newspaper headlines throughout the day. Throughout the first hour to see what's covered in the papers and how it's been covered. Some interesting stories. We begin always with tracking the numbers of COVID-19, both infections and vaccinations.
Indeed. Let's look at global numbers. 474 million is where we are now. So we're looking about 26 million shy of that 500 million mark. Folks complaining that, we could get there really quickly. 17 is the new number of cases in the country when we're looking at things locally. 0 recorded deaths, just mirroring the words, or rather, again, repeating the words of Dr. Mula when he was here with us yesterday, that, lower numbers where the emphasis now is on vaccinations. So we're looking at a positivity rate of 0.4%. That's what's going on in the country at the moment. Still, asking folks to come out and get vaccinated is the thing. Right now, we're also still looking at 10 million or so vaccinations that are available in the country at the moment. Still, it stays between that number. We're also looking at the downgrade of Kenya's travel alert. So the United States, right, has downgraded Kenya's COVID travel alert on vaccines and low infections.
What does that mean?
Okay, so the US has eased travel restrictions on Kenya in the wake of declining cases of COVID-19, offering a boost to the recovering tourism sector. They move from level 1 to level 3, which requires US citizens to avoid all non-essential travel to a destination and reconsider any planned travel. So now it's been downgraded to level 1. Is to boost summer bookings from a country that accounted for the largest share of foreign visitors to Kenya last year at 136,981. So basically it's telling its own citizens, it's okay. You, because of low infections and a low positivity rate for a considerable amount of time, you can now start traveling to Kenya once again. And we're looking at this advisory following a sharp decline in infections and hospital admissions in recent weeks, turning to months, and it has made the government relax on restrictions, lifting requirements for compulsory wearing of masks in open spaces and ending quarantine measures. So, based on that, the US has told its people, Kenya, you may now go.
It's free, it's open season.
Please do.
Okay.
Questions about whether India should be bracing for a fourth wave of COVID. So you can imagine when we were here looking at the fourth wave in Kenya, looking at the waves. Waves differ per country, right? And so India could be facing its fourth wave of COVID. It's a fresh surge of COVID cases around the world. Infections are rising in the UK and parts of Europe. China and Hong Kong are seeing their largest spike in cases in the last 2 years. With more than 40 million confirmed cases, India has the world's second biggest caseload behind the US. More than 500,000 deaths have been officially recorded, the third largest toll in the world. Is there a reason to believe the country should prepare for a fourth wave? The good news is that daily cases have fallen to their lowest in nearly 2 years. The Omicron variant, which carries more than 50 genetic mutations and is now causing a fresh wave of infections in part of the world, ripped through India in the winter. Cases have now receded. On the 21st, just 2 days ago, India recorded 1,410 new cases, down from a surge peak of 347,000 cases in a day. And this was in January. Cases have declined quickly. There were fewer severe cases than in previous waves, and hospitals were not overwhelmed. 1.8 billion doses of the vaccine have been administered so far. Remember, India is one of those countries who said, we're not waiting for Big Pharma to do their thing. We are giving our
Big
own.
Pharma.
We are the ones. And indeed, they have done this. 94% have received their first dose. Restrictions have been lifted. Much of life and business has returned to normalcy. India is breathing easy, according to the Public Health Foundation of India. But now they're saying, is it possible that with these new cases, there might be another wave on the subcontinent? They're looking at this and saying, well, it's possible that this could start in June and peak in August. Is there significant activity that would warrant a fresh wave in India? These are some of the things that they're looking at as well. And they're saying they're in a good place. They have high levels of vaccination. Government should be commended for that. High level of infection in the population that they acquired through different waves. What does that mean now with these high level of infections? That there is also a high level of immunity. So there are different conversations that are being had now, and they're saying, okay, the fresh numbers that they've seen over the last 2 days, maybe it's not a cause for concern.
Okay. All the best to them. Remember when the last wave hit in India and the coverage of it, what we were seeing was not a pretty sight. All the very best to them. It's 6:15, live streaming the show on SpiceFM KE, Facebook and YouTube. If you're online, you know what to do. Say hello. After Ndu does the weather forecast, she will be doing the roll call shortly. And if you're online, we'll say hi to you.
No, this wheelbarrow, how can you give people wheelbarrow? His party symbol is an umbrella. Is he distributing umbrellas in Makueni?
Have you been told if we don't lock between 10 to 4, this is what we're saving?
You try and call them, the same person who was in your house every day, because they know you are influential and you will give them votes. Call them after 1 month and see if they'll pick up their phone.
Don't tell your member of parliament that you want him to come and build a school, you want him to come and do a hospital. That is not the work of the member. Now that we have devolution in this country, these resources should go to those devolved units.
You have to have strong, independent institutions. And I mean, you have to have police who has the right to take the biggest town in the country and question, why did you do this and that, and send them to court if necessary.
Joel in Kericho, good morning.
Salama sana, habari ya asubuhi.
Salama kabisa. Mbunge wako ni nani?
Anaitwa Silvanus Maritim, hapa ni Ainamoi.
Silvanus Maritim, Ainamoi.
Yes. Sasa ile juma nampambia yeye nini? Amalize aende. Asante sana.
That's it.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
Clear morning in Nairobi, 15 degrees. We'll see highs of 27 today. It's also clear at 15 in Nakuru. We'll see highs of 29 and lows of 15. It's 13 and clear conditions in Nyeri. That'll be today's low, going to highs of 28. We'll see highs of 27 in Eldoret, where it's mostly cloudy at 14, coming down to lows of 13. Light rain in Mombasa at 26, highs of 33, back down to lows of 26. While in Malindi, it's raining as well in some parts at 28. It'll go to highs of 33 and lows of 27. Mostly cloudy conditions at 21 in Kisumu, highs of 29 and lows of 20, while in Kakamega it's partly cloudy at 15, highs of 29 and lows of 15. All right, into Kampala, it's partly cloudy at 18, highs of 27. Rain showers in Dar es Salaam at 25 with highs of 32 today. It's clear in Johannesburg at 14, highs of 23 and lows of 13, while Lagos is mostly clear at 28. We'll see highs of 33 and lows of 28. Mostly clear conditions at 23. In Kinshasa, highs of 34 and lows of 22. Out in Beijing, it's sunny at 6. 11 will be the high and lows of 1. 6 degrees is also what it is in Paris, highs of 20. We'll see highs of 20 as well in London, where there's a haze over the skies at 7. And New York, Tuesday night, is 9 degrees and clear. Coming into Wednesday, we'll see highs of 14 and lows of 4.
Spice FM. Spice up your life. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done.
All right. There are very many people who are online already, aren't there?
Yes. Timothy Ngaira says, good morning, tuned in from Kitale. Pauline Shiro Mugai. Good morning on this wonderful Wednesday. She's tuned in from Kino. Javan Leakey tuned in from Eldoret. Abut Water is tuned in this morning. Walter Redlaw is tuned in as well. Yobesh, we see you. Paul Omariba, good morning. Tuned in from Bamburi. Europe is listening. Happy Wednesday to all. Becky Odhiambo is in Europe. Buyayi Marachi Butula is a place.
Is that one place? Is it like what? Buyai village, Marachi location, Butula sub-county?
So it's in Busia.
Simon, just explain that.
Tell us where you are, exactly where you are.
Start with the county and break it down to the sub-county.
All the way to the village.
Then you'll be able to get it, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Githiji says, good morning. As you speak about the expressway, what about Gong Road, which is still unfinished and dangerous? Well, all right.
Hey, those guys are still there. Doing the thing on the railway bridge.
Doing the thing on the railway bridge, yes, they are. I think they might be a tad confused. It's a whole absolute mess. Unfortunately, still is. Teddy Odor says specifically, hi CT. CT. Okay.
Hello.
Who are you lunioring? Hey, today on the hot seat. What is that?
Who are we?
Lunioring.
Let me give you a little
Tu ne sais pas?
I have... Je ne comprends pas.
Voilà. Ta français est très bien là. Okay. Mwegai Timothy says, good morning. Hope you have a lovely day. Tuned in from Nakuru. And John Mwangi is tuned in from Naru Moru, one of my favorite places to pronounce. Good morning, Mombasa, tuned in, Robertsburg, Rogers Lie, locked in ready. CT, the earthquake came, tsunami came, no impact. As the Mali people say, the hyena can't catch 2 antelopes during the day, then in whose hands are we safe? Hey. Hassanito Schofield Carter says, good morning, he's tuned from Viv Makadara Sub-County in Nairobi. And Jeffrey Chorio says, good morning, tuning from Bomet. We see you guys. Abdallah, we see you as well. Good morning and karibu sana.
Kila mtu, karibu.
Okay. One more time in Mali, and then we move.
Okay.
This one is a straightforward proverb. No chasing of anything.
No.
But it requires decision making. You must decide when you're going in the evening if you intend to leave early in the morning. Right.
Straightforward.
Straightforward.
You must decide when you're going in the evening.
No. Huh?
If you decide to leave in the morning.
If you intend.
If you intend to leave in the morning.
You must decide.
Not in the morning, early. You must decide where you are going in the evening.
Oh, where?
Yes, if you intend to leave early in the morning. Not when, where.
Okay.
Voila.
You must decide where you
are going.
If
you intend to leave early in the morning.
Not wake up early in the morning and then you just leave it.
I'm late. Where am I even
Where are you
going?
going?
Say I'm late, but where are you going? I don't know, but
I'm late.
I'm late.
Like these guys who are in a hurry, you actually wonder, did the destination move
overnight?
Overnight. Did they just make up their mind they want to go there? Did they not know the distance to their destination? Yes.
Sawa. Kabisa. 23 minutes after 6. Time for us to look at the papers. www.standardmedia.co.ke or standardepaper. On Google Play Store or Apple App Store. And there's an offer.
Yes, if
Kuna
you
offer
sign
pale.
up, 2 days free. Free.
Ukichukua nini? Ukienda pale ku sign up,
Log on.
ujisajili
You
pale.
sign up. But 2 days
2 days free.
Yeah. 2 days.
No.
2 days.
No. Haya.
Did you know that there's still a murder trial going on? Did you remember? Remember that?
Who's murder?
Sharon.
Right.
An officer has painted a picture of Sharon's murder scene during a hearing, which still continues. And this is the case in which charges have been brought against Migori Governor Okoh Obado. An officer has described the gory state of the murdered girlfriend of Okoh Obado when her body was discovered in a forest. Inspector Mary Mogire told the court that Miss Sharon's body had stab wounds on the neck and abdomen and was lying in a pool of blood. The officer also testified that they recovered 2 condoms, 3 packets of unused condoms, and a sachet of an alcoholic drink next to the body allegedly used by her killers on the night of September 3rd, 2018 at Kodera Forest in Oyugi's town within Homa Bay County. We found her body lying face down. The personal items were thrown all over. There were indications of people sliding around the area she was lying. Although the officers said they recovered the used and unused condoms next to Sharon's body, she did not say whether she was raped by her killers. Asked whether there was semen in the used condoms, Mogire stated that she was sure the condoms were used but could not tell what was inside since she was not the one who did the analysis. Ms. Mogire was testifying in a case where Obado, his personal assistant, Michael Oyamo, and former Migori County Clerk Casper Obiero are facing trial for the murder of Sharon and her unborn baby on September 3rd, 2018 at Rachonyo Sub-County within Homa Bay County. She told trial judge Lady Justice Cecilia Githua on September 4th, 2018, she was summoned by her boss at the Origis police station to follow up a report by one Moses Onditi, who had reported about a dead person in the forest. So it goes on to, recount what's going on here. And the trial is in full swing, trying to find out exactly what happened here. And one of the bones of contention here has always been the scene and whether who was able to analyze what and which experts were able to come to the scene at what time. And it has been clear from the very beginning that it is upon this evidence and the tampering or not tampering with the scene, the initial scene before the body was lifted, that will probably decide this case. And so it still continues. And you didn't think that time flew so quickly. But here we are, 5 years after the murder.
It's been 5 years.
It's been 5 years. This 4th year now. It's been 4 years. And the wheels of justice are turning.
Hey, okay. This is one of those cases where you say you really want to pray for justice for Sharon.
And her baby.
And then you look back at the police, you look back at the investigations, you look back at so how do you place the accused at the scene of crime?
Right.
Because the threshold is high. I mean, there has got to be no doubt at all.
Oh, the question is, did he do it? Did he give orders? Did he say?
And remember, the placing
That's the alleged
of
allegation.
the crime of the scene is based on the ping of their phone.
Yes.
Now, therein lies the issue. So many unanswered questions. Most of these big shots, governors and all, rarely carry their own phones. There's always somebody who responds to the phone. There's always somebody who carries it. There's always somebody who has it. But even if that isn't the case, you see, the emotional aspect of this particular case is a young lady who is pregnant dies, as does the baby, in really gory circumstances.
Right.
Okay? Now, who else could have wanted this person dead? Why would they want this person dead? And why in such a manner?
Just questions that hopefully this trial will answer.
But in its wake, this trial is going to leave very many lives shattered.
Yeah.
Because this young lady had a family of her own, has a husband, had children, has parents. The governor of Migori has a family, has a wife, has children. So everyone who was related to these two individuals, plus the aides and plus the people they know, it sucks in everybody into it.
Yep.
And no matter this foul.
It was terrible.
My friend, that one, it doesn't really matter at some level what the outcome is, but just the going-ons and the discussions around it, it will affect those lives irreparably.
Yep. There'll be a scar forever. Hassanito Schofield Carter, the one in Viwandani, Makadara sub-county of Nairobi County, says, I'm actually seeing CT for the first time today.
What?
It's all right.
I always knew that voice is from a wise man. And by seeing you, he has seen wisdom.
Are we suggesting that this gentleman here has received a miracle?
Oh.
That previously he couldn't see and now he can see.
His name is Bartholomew.
Was blind.
Schofield Carter.
Schofield Carter can now see.
Yes.
Well, thank you.
Bartimayo. It's 6:30. This is Kenya's biggest conversation. Taking a quick break to take a look at traffic. We'll be back shortly.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Okay, so there's traffic that's already started to build up a few minutes after, well, actually 6:30 on the nose, and we're looking at it coming off a thicker superhighway and getting into the CBD really slowly. Just not too bad. We're just looking at the Pangani underpass, which has some traffic just past that junction at Outer Ring, and then heading towards the Utali Drift. There we have bumper to bumper traffic and moving really slowly. Hopefully that will open up in a short while, but we'll keep an eye on that. Waiaki Way also just starting to build up as you come out of Westlands. Imara Daima, that outbound section coming off Mombasa Road is where we'll see the most action this morning. And of course, on the Eastern Bypass, in and outbound traffic just before the AP Training College, that has already started out really early this morning. We'll take a look, see in a short while and see how that is, but for now, I think you should be all right traversing these Nairobi streets. Let's talk, guys. SpiceFM KE on Twitter. Text 40127.
Classic soul, R&B, smooth jazz, neo soul, and nostalgic ballads.
Make some noise. Yeah!
You're listening to Spice FM. Spice FM, Malindi. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself.
Okay, 29-7. Evelyn Kavaya is in Riyadh, in Saudi Arabia. And Eddie Odua?
Eddie says, good morning. I missed my favorite morning show Monday, Tuesday because I woke up late. Reason being, my wife last Sunday cooked the only cock that woke me up. Eddie, good morning. So did you get another one?
So what woke you up today?
The absence of it.
All right.
Hey, say hello to your wife. Okay. Remember the story of this place called Abimbo Gold Mines in Siaya County, where there was a collapse of the mine and there were people who were trapped in.
Yeah.
Some people were rescued, and then there's one man who was never rescued.
Yeah.
Recovery efforts were stopped in January after the county and national government said that the recovery efforts were risky. Siaya County Police Commander Michael Mushiri confirmed that the excavation had become dangerous. 100 days later, that's how long the body of a miner has remained trapped at the Abimbo gold mines. But Tom Okwache's family now has a glimmer of hope of finding his remains after local youth embarked on manually digging the mines. By yesterday, the Standard confirmed that a group of 10 men had started digging the area to help find Okwache's remains. Moses Odhiambo, one of the diggers, said they had the permission of the site owner and added that they were making great strides. Odhiambo said recovery teams who had earlier committed to help with the excavation had withdrawn, forcing the youth to use their little resources to help the family. Odhiambo claims the county government had allocated some money for the recovery process, but there was no clarity on the same since the process stopped in January. We've been trying to find help from the county, but it's not forthcoming. Every time we ask, we are told leaders are now busy with campaigns. The youth want the family to stay away from the site to give them a chance to work, but the family is not ready to leave the site yet. Okwache's widow, Jacqueline Ojala, recounted how his spirit disturbs her in her dreams. He is unhappy with everyone. It's easier to move on and let go of someone that you have buried. Basically, they want closure.
Of course.
The wife and the rest of the family members want closure. The government that they depend on, the government that they elected, that they put in office, said, I think it's too dangerous. January, packed up, left. And now they moved on. We are in Azimio and Kenya Kwanza.
Yeah. Can you imagine how harrowing it must have been for those who are listening from the outside? Because the initial reports that we got was that they could hear him at some point and he was calling out. And then you get to a certain number of days and then you hear nothing. And then, after some days that he's normal.
Yep.
Right? After some time that he's gone. But to have him, to see him and then be able to say, all right, this has happened, does something for you, just like you said, closure, does something for you that nothing else really can.
We want to bury him ourselves.
Yes.
We do not want the earth to bury him.
And, even as sensational as it sounds, I don't doubt what she's saying. I mean, it's very, very possible, that
she's hearing
hearing him. Absolutely. Because here he is, not far from where you live, right? He is in there.
You've gone full Nigerian.
No, but think about it like this. He's there.
I know what you're saying.
And not everything that could have been done to have him out has been done.
The thing that I find worrying is that with each of these incidences, the one in Migori, the one in Siaya, the one in Homa Bay, one doesn't hear of restitutive actions that have been taken by the county government to ensure that certain regulatory frameworks are placed with regards to mining, so that the safety of those who are involved in it at least has some guarantee. It's just the wild, wild west, people just doing exactly what they like, and some are going about the business as they see fit. Now, for people to be mining gold, it means there must be some semblance of some gold that people have come across at some point or the other. Gold mining is a fairly technical undertaking. But clearly, once that matter, should we say, died with this particular individual, my understanding of it, nothing much has been done about it. So what can we expect? Not just a small disaster, even more. Because if you are going to be excavating and you don't put up structures to actually ensure that you have a bulwark against the earth so that it doesn't collapse on the miners, we should expect worse occurrences in the not too distant future. This was just a beginning, because if people are mining, more people will seek to mine. And when they seek to mine, what do you think will happen? The digging will continue. So what I see is more disasters of this particular nature occurring in these areas where people have chosen to mine.
It's very true. And even if we assume that the government, the county government, the national government were to come up, they do what the government usually does. It would be a crackdown. The owner of this mine, for example, would be told, you do not have access to this area anymore. Get out. You have to go and get a license from the county, pay I don't know how much, so that you can get a license. And if you come and you find it, you're digging without a license, we will arrest you and take you to jail. But there's the other side of things where it's clear that the government of Kenya does not care for its people.
Nope.
There's no way you can tell me that so many months later, we're into the third month of 2022, this incident happened in December. That there's no way the government lacks expertise at all of going into digging this particular mine and retrieving the remains. This time we're not talking about search and rescue. We are talking about retrieving the body of this gentleman, Tom Okwach. There's no way you can say that they lack the expertise. How much money would it cost? Ni serikali ya Kenya bwana. You can't even say, this is going to be, too expensive. Why would we be spending money?
People pay money for things that don't exist. Now here, people pay money for things that don't exist.
It's a human being.
Now this is a human being who went to look for money to feed his family. That's why he was there in the first place, right?
Yes.
Oh yeah, now.
This woman and her children and her relatives go by this mine every day. They sit there, they're like, okay, can something happen? By the time these 10 young men decided,
okay, let's just help.
Yeah. And we are trying to tell the family, you guys just go, okay, then move away. We're going to work. It's because they are seeing the kind of anguish that the family is going through. And they also know Tom Okwach.
Yeah, they knew, right?
And
that's
more
interesting.
importantly,
They knew him, yeah.
They also know the county is going to do nothing.
Oh, yeah.
This total and utter neglect and a zero rating and putting a zero value to human life, it's actually even worse than the cancers we've been discussing, the esophageal cancers and so forth, because you have a government in place. It's called a county government. It's an elected, the leaders are elected. They have a budget, they have money, there are things they can do for their people. This gentleman is a citizen of that particular county. And if we look at this and see it as an example of how this particular county treats its citizens, then if you're a citizen of that county, beware. Essentially, you're being told you're on your own.
Yep. I'm sorry, but even in the okay, he's already gone. Oh yeah, help. Even that, it doesn't demand the attention that it ought to. I keep telling you guys, when you see the most vulnerable and how they are, that's what the country is.
It's sad. City, what are you looking at?
I'm looking at an article on page 8 of the Star. Let me turn to it. It says that Kenya needs 100.
Needs a what?
100
billion annually for water. This one I have to read.
100 billion annually for water.
Kenya shillings. Meeting Kenya's water needs is a challenging task that requires huge funding. That is, acting water CS James Macharia has said. Macharia said the ministry continues to face major challenges in ensuring water security and expanding water and sanitation infrastructure to increase coverage. His speech was read by the Administrative Director Douglas Mutai during the World Water Day celebrations at Maliko Primary School in Kitui Rural Constituency on Tuesday. Macharia said that water and sanitation infrastructure development requires an annual budget of 100 billion to attain its target against the available budget of 40 billion. He said the huge financial gap greatly affects the ability to meet water provision and sanitary targets. This calls for comprehensive investment plans between the national and county governments to ensure the value of money and the avoidance of duplication. Why did I choose this particular article? For me, it reminded me of what it is that seems to be the symptoms of the malady that we have. 40 billion is referred to here as though it's an insignificant amount.
Something too, you know.
Yes, just it's 40 as opposed to 100. And yet, if you look throughout this article, you are not told how it is that that 40 billion has actually been used over time. Because I would assume, if you have 40 billion this year, you are not going to tell me that the need for water projects or any needs relating to water will suddenly rise. As you pump in money, the need should reduce because you have met some needs. So those needs no longer feature on the list of needs that will come the following year. But ours seems to be the complete opposite. 40 billion is spent, but yet we still need 100 billion annually. Now,
the question is, 40 billion was spent on what?
Surely. If you plan with the 40 billion year in, year out, after a 5-year period,
it must have reduced.
Surely, are you still going to require the same amount of money to do this same thing? Are the needs going to be the same?
Development.
How?
Development. You sort out a development issue. You've reduced the need.
Yes.
You've reduced it. So you can now, unless they're saying that has been sorted out, and then there are new ones that then crop up.
They can talk about, maybe long-term planning in the next X. So if we did 100, by the time we're getting to this point, we'll have attained,
there's a mapping that they would have now.
Yep. Because we all have SDGs and all to get universal access to potable water. There's an organization that was started. Remember the water reforms of 2002? The now created structures. From the board.
That was the time when Martha Karua was in that ministry.
Yes.
Yes.
An organization that was created then called the Water Services Trust Fund. It's now called the Water Sector Trust Fund. Is a state corporation mandated to assist in financing water, sanitation and water resource management projects to the underserved and marginalized rural and urban areas. The mandate and object of the fund is to provide conditional and unconditional grants to the counties and to assist in financing the development of and management of water services in these areas. So what are they supposed to do? Mobilize funds, and then these funds are then used for water. So when we talk about this 100 billion shillings, The body that should be working on this is the Water Sector Trust Fund. This body has been in existence for this number of years. This body has created linkages and partnerships with various global organizations. This body is able and capable of applying for financing from, let's say, the AFDB and World Bank projects on water and sanitation. Water and sanitation is a global conversation. So 100 billion shillings a year is nothing, if you look at it from that grand scheme of things. Is it possible to mobilize 100 billion shillings? It's possible to mobilize 200 billion shillings.
Even more.
Why haven't they? What progress are we seeing in terms of water provision in these areas? Is the work of such an organization then hampered by everybody else? The recipients of the money, the people who are in charge then of implementing the project. When money is set aside for water provision, how does it go? How much money is spent? How much was the Aror and Kimorer dams were to cost 63 billion shillings? Okay? What would those dams have done in terms of water security for the communities around there?
Indeed.
It was possible. We raised 63 billion shillings.
It was possible. I'm telling you, the problems are...
You ask yourself, so what
Come
exactly?
on, at least do something. My father used to say, even if you want to take it, at least do something. Do something so that even if somehow the mind is more malleable when you see that, all right, something has been done here, whether there's some excess which you skimmed. I mean, even if you can excuse it, you say at least something has been done. But then you wipe out everything. And then you ask, now this commission, is it? Commission that turned council, trust fund that turned whatever, then you have to ask yourself the question, if all of that has been done, money being raised, trying to raise another 100 per year, are we going to see that something will actually be done when there's drought in the country and then the communities who are facing water shortage or lack completely? Are those not things then that should be seen to be sorted out? Will we be having the same conversation 5 years from now, saying that there's some communities because of lack of 1, 2, 3 don't have water? Schools close because there's no water. Crops fail because there's no water and no sources for irrigation. Okay, the rains fail, there's no backup plan. How long will this conversation be had? And then we're having talks of development on a grand scale, whereby the very engine, the blood of the country cannot survive. Wasting time. It's angering.
You know what is actually really interesting is I could argue that this is perhaps a reporting issue.
Maybe.
But one of the things that is not just basic and fundamental and is absolutely necessary is the provision of water. Now, when you read statements such as these ones, you actually ask yourself, is this government actually treating this matter of water with the seriousness it deserves?
No.
The same question we ask about the health sector. Because all we keep hearing about is monies given here, money spent. Really, the money is it's intended for specific purposes. I was hoping I would read in the year, the financial year, 2021-2022.
These are the projects, blah, blah, blah.
Yes.
This is completed, this is in process,
yes,
this is marked.
The piping of water from this place to this place covered X kilometers and so forth. You say,
nice.
Progress is being made. This remains now in this area, we're expecting to do this and this and this. But instead, you are being given huge figures to deal with. And you're being told this other huge figure, which is 40 billion, is not enough, but 100 billion will be enough. Enough for what exactly?
You wake me up. I don't.
You break it down, the conversation is easier. Anyway.
I tell you something.
A lot to be done. That's a water conversation, by the way, we should have.
Indeed.
We should have a water conversation. And if it's about financing, we get the Water Services Trust Fund people.
Tell us what's going on.
Wakuja wajibu wenyewe.
History has been made in the United States. Jackson makes history. Let's take a step out internationally. History was made the instant Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson appeared before the Senate Judiciary Committee, the first black woman nominated to the Supreme Court. President Joe Biden promised he would choose a black woman for the job, and the 51-year-old Harvard-trained Jackson emerged as an early favorite. having won support from the Senate several times before, including a year ago to be an appellate court judge. Democrats have the potential votes in the 50-50 Senate to confirm Ms. Jackson to replace retiring Justice Stephen Breyer, even if all Republicans line up opposed. Today is a proud day for America, according to Senator Dick Durbin, the committee chairman, as he opened the historic hearing Monday. It's taken 233 years to arrive at the moment, the first black woman nominated to be a justice on the Supreme Court. Kenya passed it a while ago, while once upheld racist segregation in America. Yet, as history is being made, it is also carrying echoes of an earlier groundbreaking era. Senators on the Republican side are criticizing Ms. Jackson's record as too soft on crime, much the way Southern senators in 1967 linked race and crime during a time of riots in cities nationwide when Mr. Thurgood Marshall, the storied civil rights lawyer, was nominated by President Lyndon B. Johnson for the first black justice. Jackson would be the first federal public defender on the court, and Mr. Marshall, as a civil rights lawyer, worked around the country defending black Americans, often facing trumped-up charges. Jackson told the senators that if confirmed to the court, she would work to support and defend the Constitution and this grand experiment of American democracy.
You're saying Kenya has done that before?
Your Chief Justice is a woman.
We have a black woman Chief Justice.
I didn't say black woman. I said your Chief Justice is a woman.
No, she's black.
But I mean, yes.
We have a black woman Chief Justice.
I mean, Kenya.
We ever had a white Chief Justice.
Plus, in the Supreme Court,
you've
had women already in the Supreme, because she is the first black woman in the Supreme Court. You've had women the likes of Joaquin Dungu already sitting in this court. So,
the US of A. The population is predominantly white.
Yes, no.
Okay. Here we are predominantly black.
And that's why Ednah.
So the wonder would have been if you had a white woman as the Chief Justice.
We've had a white person as a Chief Justice in Kenya.
Oh yes, we did.
We've had
one Mrs. Slade. We did have.
We've had an Asian as a Chief Justice in Kenya.
Which is why I'm telling you, Kenya has done very well. Yeah. This is now historic for the United States to have a black woman in this position. I mean,
you know, the thing that comes to my mind.
Big deal here for them.
It is a big deal because think about it. You look at our court system, the judiciary. Chief Justice, lady. Deputy, lady.
Registrar,
lady. Okay. Now, I was thinking about it the other day, and this is what occurred to me. Because of this push for women to have an inclusive right in all the opportunities that are there in the country. And in the spirit of fairness and openness and a meritocracy, what seems to be coming to the fore is that women fare very well in that environment.
Which one?
Where it is a meritocracy and you require the best person to actually be given the job. You see it more and more and more and more and more in this country. Take your pick. Just start thinking about it and see.
The women in various positions across the country, in public and private, are they on merit?
Yes.
That's true.
So there's something to be said about a meritocracy. You then get served with the best that you have.
Yes.
But that is what happens when you open the space for equal opportunities. And that is why when politicians talk about the things they want to do, and they don't emphasize adequately the need for that particular aspect in our community, expanding opportunities, ensuring that they exist. That's what people need, the opportunity. The rest, they'll be able to do whatever needs to be done. But the opportunity.
Just the opportunity.
Yes.
Hold the door open.
That's it. And make sure it stays open.
Yeah.
Not like some of these government paying systems which open at midnight and after 1 hour it's shut again.
Senators and members of the National Assembly have hit a deadlock over a law that seeks to pave way for the release of 39 billion shillings, billions, for counties. Senators are strongly opposed to an amendment introduced by the National Assembly seeking to essentially take away the Senate's oversight role on how the devolved units spend grants from the development partners. The contentious clause has also triggered a split between the Council of Governors and the National Treasury after the National Treasury declared support for the National Assembly's position. Yesterday, a sitting by a 10-member mediation committee to discuss the implementation of County Government's Grants Bill 2021 failed to reach consensus on the contested clause. The standoff implies that counties will have to wait longer before benefiting from the billions. The meeting was attended by, of course, Treasury and the Cabinet Secretary Ukur Yatani, Controller of Budget Margaret Nyakango. The bill seeks a legal framework for disbursement of conditional grants from the national government and donors to county governments. The National Assembly amended that clause of the bill to make it a perpetual law, which went against the Senate's position that seeks to make it an annual bill. They just want it to be every year they review and they say, all right. So the same way we have the division of revenue bill, we have the county revenue allocation bill, we should also be having the conditional grants bill. Hawakubaliani na wamekataa. Wamekataa.
Not happening.
Yeah.
You know what is interesting? Huh? That the article you spoke of, Ndu.
Yes.
I was just doing the maths, the 1 + 1. And I was counting the firsts that are listed in this particular article. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 firsts. First, Jewish Justice, 2016. 19, first, Black Justice. This is the Supreme Court of America, 1967. 1981, First Woman Justice. 1993, First Female Jewish Justice. 2009, First Hispanic Justice. 2022, nomination of First Black. Now, I was looking at this and it occurred to me, it's interesting how these things make firsts. What it tells me is that all the justices who had been there were not representative of these groups who have made firsts.
Right.
So, flying in the face of the equality that is spoken of by the democracy that is actually the hallmark of what the US stands for and what it believes it is. Okay?
But isn't that what she said, Jackson? She said that she would like to have a go at this experiment of American democracy. So for a lot of people, this democracy that is trying to be mirrored in the parts of the world from America doesn't exist. For a lot of them in the continental US.
It's there on paper but not in practice.
Exist. No, it isn't. It isn't. But what I also found interesting is that the Democrats seem to take the cup when it comes to being quick to nominate these firsts. Of the 6, with the exception of 1981, when you had the first female justice, who Sandra Day O'Connor was appointed by the Republican Ronald Reagan. The others were nominated by Democratic presidents, beginning with Lyndon Johnson, all the others. Now, what are we saying? You're looking at political parties and you're looking at what they represent. It would appear, therefore, that the Democratic Party seemed to be the place where minorities find comfort in the U.S. And yet, strangely enough, the party in the U.S. that actually fought for the emancipation of slaves was a Republican. Many people may not know this, but Abraham Lincoln was a Republican.
Yes, he was. And he's the one who called for the abolition of slavery.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, politics is an interesting thing, wouldn't you say? But then history now makes it even more interesting when you look back. Now, let's look at our politics.
Things keep changing.
Yes.
Let's do that as we talk about Cipladon.
Hand on your head and you're asking yourself, okay, so I'm feeling a bit woozy this morning. Those headaches, aches and pains, sore muscles, this, that, and the other thing that have you in a bit of a twist. Cipladon can take care of it twice as fast as your regular paracetamol. It's effervescent, so it fizzles away in your water. You take it down, and in no time, you're feeling better. You want to think about that for managing your pain? Do it. If symptoms persist, seek medical advice.
Yes, you should do that. Keep it here for more conversations coming up in the next hour. We're here until 10 a.m. Someone is in Dubai. Who's that was in Dubai?
In Dubai, Rundu Marvelous.
Rundu Marvelous is in Dubai. Hey, welcome to Kenya's biggest conversation, Rundu, and thank you very much for tuning in. Yes. It's the first time I'm seeing you guys. Wise voices. Stephen Agumba. Good morning, Stephen. It's 7 a.m.
Spice up your life. The latest news from around the world. 94.4 Spice FM.
Good morning, this is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aseto. Orange Democratic Movement leader Raila Odinga has jetted back to the country after a week-long tour in the United Kingdom. Following the culmination of the overseas tour, Odinga is expected to hit the ground running on the Azimio la Umoja presidential campaigns across the country, with the mega tour expected at the end of the week in the Rift Valley region. Odinga was accompanied to the UK with, among others, Governors Charity Ngilu of Kitui and Hassan Joe of Mombasa, Kotubos Francis Atoli, former Gatanga MP Peter Kenneth, Siaya Senator James Orengo and Suna East MP Janet Mohammed. His loyal lieutenants led by ODM Secretary General Edwin Sifuna and Kieni MP Kanini Kega have been traversing across the country to popularize his presidential bid in his absence. Now, former First Lady Mama Ngina Kenyatta has waded into the President Uhuru Kenyatta succession talk with a call to residents of Mount Kenya to support the head of state's position. Mama Ngina made the rare comments in Kafangi village of Gatundu South, Kiambu County. She said President Kenyatta will not mislead the people of Kenya and that he has the best interest of the country at heart. Meanwhile, Deputy President William Ruto says he has a track record to prove his capability to be the country's fifth president. Ruto, who took the Kenya Kwanza campaigns to Narok County, said his opponents have nothing to show for the time they served in government. The DP was speaking at a rally to launch the gubernatorial bid of former Labour Chief Administrative Secretary Patrick Ole Ntutu, who is vying on a UDA ticket. While making his address, the DP accused their opponents of spreading politics of fear and division within the county that is dominated by two communities of Maasai and the Kipsigis. He urged residents to resist the attempt to divide them and instead be united even as the election approaches. And Speaker of the National Assembly Justin Muturi has refuted claims that his name will not be on the ballot during the August general elections. This comes as speculation grows that Muturi will drop out of the race for State House in favor of either Deputy President William Ruto or ODM leader Raila Odinga, who are seen as the front-runners. Muturi, on the other hand, has assured his supporters that he will run on a Democratic Party ticket for the position. And Jubilee Party has extended the application deadline for members seeking the party's nomination ticket ahead of the forthcoming August elections. Citing the overwhelming interest from candidates to join the ruling party, the Jubilee National Elections Board resolved to add 3 more days for other hopefuls to tender their application documents. The President Uhuru Kenyatta-led party made the official announcement as it implored interested members to register on the party's website. Now, 3 witnesses in the ongoing murder case against Migori Governor Okoh testified that they found blood-stained tracksuit and 2 used condoms at the scene of the murder of Sharon Otieno and baby Sharon. Also found was an empty sachet of illicit brew and a pair of blue open shoes, according to the Office of the Public Prosecution. The revelation was made when the prosecution presented 3 witnesses in the ongoing case, who also stated that Sharon's undergarments were also found at the scene. And Kenya and Cuba have vowed to expand further on diplomatic engagements in the health sector for the benefit of the 2 nations. This follows a meeting between the Health Cabinet Secretary Mutahi Kagwe and Cuba's ambassador to Kenya, Juan Manuel Rodriguez, in Nairobi. According to CS Kagwe, the medical personnel exchange program between the 2 nations has proven successful ever since it was piloted in 2021. As such, it should be used as a benchmark for similar projects that have the potential of augmenting the country's healthcare in future. And the Kenya Meteorological Department has issued an alert over expected rainfall in various parts of the country for the next 7 days. Heavy rainfall is projected over the highlands west of Rift Valley, as well as over a few areas in the highlands east of the Rift Valley, the southeastern lowlands, northwestern and northeastern Kenya. In the 7-day weather forecast, the highlands west of the Rift Valley, the Lake Victoria Basin and the central and south Rift Valley are expected to observe morning and afternoon rains, as well as night showers. And finally, China has decided to provide more humanitarian aid supplies to Ukraine worth about $1.57 million. Spokesperson Wang Wenbin said This additional offer was based on the development of the situation and the actual needs of Ukraine. The Red Cross Society of China had earlier provided 5 million yuan worth of humanitarian aid supplies to the Ukrainian side. The spokesperson noted that Beijing will dispatch food and other necessities to the war-torn nation. This is News. I am Dennis Asseto. Good morning.
Spice FM, Nakuru.
Okay, so folks were asking what's causing that traffic on the Thika Superhighway. Unfortunately, terrible accident that occurred this morning. And so there's in addition to the accident, now a lorry has broken down. Hey, people of Thika Road, I'm sorry. Woke up this morning and hopefully you would have been in town. Sorry. Accident followed by lorry breakdown. So everybody now has to wait. Nothing is moving. It's terrible on Thika Road this morning. Past Allsops, then you should be all right. But now the trick is getting past Allsops, isn't it? All right, let's keep an eye on how that happens. If you're in the area, let us know. If you find a good route, let us know that as well. What else are we looking at? It's building up on Jogo Road. Not too bad on Uhuru Highway getting into the city. Langata Road here and there, just a little bit. Same thing, Raila Odinga Way on to Ngong Road, Kenyatta Avenue into the city. All right, Kiambu Road already doing that thing, and it's really crazy. We're also looking at Limuru Road has built up quite some, and Westlands also doing the business this Wednesday. Remember, you can use the Red Hill Link Road to get out of Westlands back into the city. Think about using alternate routes this morning because it's likely to be cray. Then let's talk SpiceFM KE on Twitter. Text 40127.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down.
7:07 on the
Situation
23rd
Room,
of
the only
third
way
month
to
of
start your
2022. Welcome to the second hour of Kenya's biggest conversation. Thank you very much for tuning in on Spice FM around the country. Malindi and Kilifi County, 97.7. Nyeri and some parts of Mount Kenya region going all the way into some parts of Embu, like Kipia and Nyandarua, 90.9. Eldoret, 96.7. 96.0 in Nakuru. 102.5 in Kisumu. 87.9 in Mombasa. And in Nairobi, it's 94.4. Wherever you are, like those who are tuning in Dubai or in Riyadh or in Guatemala, it is Spice FM KE on YouTube and Facebook and www.spicefm.co.ke.
Right. You must decide where you are going in the evening if you intend to leave early in the morning.
But if you intend to leave late, you can decide in the morning.
Well, look at it this way. If you want to make your decisions early in the morning about travel, well, lo and behold, you will lo and you will also behold.
What will happen? So you know that if you wake up early in the morning and you're like, I want to go to Mars a bit. What difference does it make if you make that decision at 5 a.m. or if you make it at 10 p.m.?
The decision is the preparation that you will make for that particular journey.
You'll sleep.
Yes, sleep is perhaps an integral part of the preparation, but we are assuming whatever the means is that you will use for your travel.
Oh, feed the donkey.
Yes. Yes. Milk the cow.
Fuel the car.
The day before,
Buy a ticket, perhaps.
you buy a ticket, perhaps, ensure that you've chosen the transportation that you want to actually travel with.
Right.
Yeah.
Be at the place where you have to be picked up on time.
So make all those plans prior.
That really is the whole idea. So that
don't-
when you wake up in the morning, you are not planning, you are simply executing.
Don't go to the bus stop. Muko naweza nunua ticket.
Yes.
Or the airport.
Yes.
And the side.
Yes. Or one of these stories where you are traveling to the western part of the country and you're traveling with a night bus and you stop at Nakuru and you drink chai moto, okay? And then you also buy boiled maize. But you are supposed to actually be embarking at El Bagon, okay? But you get so carried away with the eating of the maize, you are now in Londiani, which means you enter Kericho. And I say, tuko Londiani, tuko El Bagon. You know you passed El Bagon a long time ago.
We'll just tell you to enjoy Kericho.
Yes, said ati tuko karibu na Kericho town. Tumepita El Bagon.
You've heard that story of the kid who was put in a matatu to Nakuru. Then they're in a matatu. They're here in Kikuyu. Kid turns to the neighbor. Tumefika Naivasha.
Oh no, Bambi.
Hapana bado. Kid sits. They go. Next place. Soko Mjinga. Tumefika Naivasha. Hapana tulia. They continue. Escapement. Tumefika Naivasha.
Who is this human who's being asked?
Tulia.
A small child is asking, so you know.
No, but who's being asked is what I'm saying.
An adult.
It's an adult passenger sitting next there. So they all tell the Makanga, please make sure you stop at Naivasha. Because this child is going to Naivasha. He needs to get off at Naivasha. Matatu gets to Naivasha. See, ni Nakuru matatu. Haya, tumefika Naivasha sasa. Okay. Kid opens the bag, gets the snack, starts eating. Tumefika. Nanda Nakuru.
They were told when they get to Naivasha is when they can eat.
Don't eat the snack
until you get to
Naivasha.
Until you get to
Naivasha. Hey, proverb of the day.
Indeed.
What is it?
I told you guys. You see those beautiful flowers? You see those beautiful flower pots on the expressway?
Our brothers
with
have
the
decided
marigolds.
They've decided to redistribute them.
They've already started stealing the flower pots on the expressway. Oh no.
Who? Where?
Who is the thief? See, flower. Nice, marigold, yellow and orange.
Yes.
From Machakos Junction to Rironi.
Yes.
They've already started stealing the flower pots.
I surely.
Good grief. I told you, wait. This nice metal that's been painted white, that is covering that's shielding the expressway from the rest of the road. Wait. In a very short time, you will not be able to tell which is expressway and which is normal way.
Actually.
But they haven't done that on the SGR.
Okay.
The SGR has that fence all the way from Mombasa to, what's that place? The end of the middle of nowhere.
You're talking about not Mtitonde, surely.
No,
the dry port.
The middle of nowhere, the dry
Suswa.
port. Yes, Suswa. Yes. All the way.
Okay.
It's still intact. Even this one will be intact.
I said now as we are speaking, it's not intact. You didn't hear what I said? Now as we are speaking.
Me, I don't believe these photos, Brana.
Oh, you don't believe this is the flower?
Yeah.
Okay, no problem.
Could be something else. That if you show me a gap on the road.
You have time today?
Yes.
Twende.
Tutembe.
Heat town. Meanwhile, there are ghosts. You know, like Boo, Casper. There are ghosts in the public service. Ghosts walk away with cash for the disabled and poor. Look here, let me tell you. Since it's going to rain, let it just rain completely. This 40 billion, this 200 billion, this how many ever billion that we've been talking about. Let's just finish the thing, right? Some 1,290 unregistered individuals benefited from cash transfers to poor women with severe disabilities, according to an audit revelation. These raises eyebrows on credibility of the multi-billion shilling program aimed at cushioning the vulnerable from extreme economic shocks. The Public Service Commission said although 5,570 females were registered to benefit from the cash transfer to persons with severe disabilities last year, officials of the State Department for Special Protection made payments to 6,860 individuals, raising concerns over theft through ghost payments of totaling 31.2 million shillings. A total of 837.51 million was paid out to the PWSD, with some 27,697 males also benefiting from the cash transfers. It means that each of the 34,539 listed beneficiaries took home 24,248 shillings. The State Department for Social Protection should establish the reasons for disbursement made to non-registered persons in the program for persons with severe disabilities. The cash transfer programs has in the past been dogged by scandals, which some officers created ghost lists of beneficiaries and pocketed the money. Some rogue officers also manipulated lists of beneficiaries to include their own relatives and cronies, locking up many deserving cases. The government, through the State Department, last year continued to implement the Inua Jamii cash transfer program that targets older persons, orphans and vulnerable children and persons with severe disabilities.
You know, Ndu, you know what you're reading is a very, very, very serious issue.
Yes.
You're saying that somebody has actually gone and stolen money that was meant to benefit persons living with disabilities.
With severe disabilities. Now, you know, there are persons living with disabilities, right, that maybe somehow can still get by. Now we're talking about folks who cannot. These are the people who have to be carried from one spot to the next. These are the people who either
their entire lives requires assistance.
Absolutely. Now, when we say severe disability, that's what we are saying. We're talking about the people who are totally blind. We're talking about the people who are totally paralyzed, things like this, immobilized. That's what we're talking about. And we're saying that some people void of conscience, right, have gone and you filled out a list of over 7,000 people. Meanwhile, you've paid out to just above 5,500. Money that was meant for people did not go to them. And then, you know what makes it worse, Eric? Even on this list, which you say is authentic, on that list as well, people in the program have put in their own friends and relatives and left out those who were in need or deserving of the assistance. How much worse ought it to get?
How much again? No.
Shall I repeat moi?
Please.
Okay. Sorry. The PSC said themselves, not anybody else, 5,570 females were registered to benefit from the cash transfer to persons with severe disabilities. Now, this is just severe disabilities, okay? We're not talking about the vulnerable, we're not talking about poor, etc.
And the elderly.
All right, and the elderly, just them. However, the list which came from the State Department read 6,860 individuals. Ghost payments to the amount of 31.2 million shillings have been paid out. We don't know who these people are here or there. That's the
so they're not on the list.
They're not on the list. You have payouts to about 1,500 more than were on the list, and they cannot account for that. Okay.
And so, who's raising this? Is it an Auditor General's report?
Wait, I'm going to tell you in just a minute.
Yeah.
This is according to, now, here we go. Last year, it also implemented out of the population overall the top beneficiaries by county. An audit by whom? the State Department itself, the government, through the State Department for Social Protection last year, continued to implement the Inua Jamii 1, 2, 3. It also implemented 2 additional programs, the Nutrition Improvement Program through Cash and Health Education and the Presidential Secondary School Bursary Program. All benefited from this. Records according to... That's interesting because then it doesn't tell us. This is coming now. The raised concerns are coming from the State Department. The payments went out through the Public Service Commission.
Public Service Commission?
Yeah.
Public Service Commission? No, it can't be.
The Public Service Commission said although 5,570 females were registered to benefit from the cash transfer to persons with severe disabilities last year, officials of the State Department for Social Protection made payments to 6,860 individuals, raising concerns over theft through ghost payments totaling 31.2 million shillings.
What's the role of the Public Service Commission in this?
Sorry?
What's the role of the Public Service Commission in this?
Yeah, they're the ones who are saying this.
Well, the thing is, for sure, right now, the State Department for Social Protection is under the Ministry of Public Service, Gender, that big ministry by Professor Kobia.
Yes.
That's where the State Department for Social Protection has gone to from when the president moved it from Labour. Okay. If the State Department for Social Protection is saying appears to have been some people who should not have received this money but were receiving the money, then they've got all the answers to give because it is them. The Inua Jamii program is actually under the State Department for Social Protection. This is P.S. Nelson Marwa. What is Inua Jamii? It's a Government of Kenya flagship national safety net program for the beneficiaries of cash transfer for orphans and vulnerable children, older persons with severe disability cash transfer, hunger safety net program. They receive 2,000 shillings per month to all the people and 5,400 shillings for the hunger safety net program paid by monthly. An extra 1,500 people having received some 31 million shillings, if indeed this 1,500 people are not people with severe disabilities, then that is a serious issue.
Absolutely.
Not just with government, but with all of us as a country.
Absolutely.
Because you are talking about people who have no other way, no other means
surviving.
Of getting this money.
Exactly.
Apart from well-wishers and all. And this is something that the taxpayers are saying, let's support those most vulnerable in our society.
And further to that, right? This entire thing was set up for folks who are not able to get by. So the people living with severe disabilities made up part of that number. This goes on to say that even those who are not persons living with severe disability, even the ones who are poor, elderly, etc., that there are some people who deservedly should be receiving that money but are not. So it's me over here and I'm in charge of the program. I'm going to put my people in there. CT, you put some of your people in there. Eric, you put some of your people in there. The people who should actually be receiving this money because they're in poor state are not. So they've actually still found out that beyond this 31.2 million shillings, that even those who are on the list, your name shows up on the list because you're a friend of the person who is heading the program or you're a family member, locking out people who actually should be on the list. Do you see?
Do I see?
So listen, eligibility. Persons with severe disabilities cash transfer is for an extremely poor household having a person with severe disability who's a Kenyan citizen, who's not enrolled in any other cash transfer program, who's residing in a particular location for more than a year, and this is also looking at the other people who benefit, okay? There's an entire structure of how you receive the money. Officers in the county and sub-county level, county coordinator to provide administrative support, sub-county officer including children services officers, social development officer who support implementation of the cash transfer program, staff from the project implementation and learning unit to assist the beneficiaries of those who are receiving hunger support program. Chiefs and assistant chiefs act as Inua Jamii ambassadors and information resource persons. Then we also have a beneficiary welfare committee. What is a beneficiary welfare committee? A beneficiary welfare committee is a group of representatives of beneficiaries of all cash transfer programs at the location level who work as a link between the beneficiaries and officers on matters related to cash transfer programs to ensure community participation and ownership. These committees organize meetings and information sharing sessions. So you see, there's an entire structure on paper. That starts from beneficiaries being identified, beneficiaries being put together into a committee. You people shall be engaging the officers, if it's a children's services officer, if it's a community support officer, if it's a chief and all, to talk about how you're receiving the money, whether you're having challenges receiving the money, whether you... All this is set. There's a chief, there's a county administration, going all the way to Mr. Nelson Marwa, Professor Margaret Kobia, President Uhuru Kenyatta at the very top.
However, were you here? You were here now. What was the name of the other one where folks were being asked to work? What?
Kazi kwa vijana.
Thank you. You were here when they called us and told us, yes, and how much was the amount that they were supposed to be receiving on a weekly basis?
This one is Kazi Mtaani. Kazi kwa vijana is the other one.
Kazi Mtaani, thank you. They were supposed to be receiving 600 shillings per week. You remember when P.S. Hinga was very diligent about coming on Twitter on a regular basis telling...
It wasn't per week.
No, sorry, per day.
Yes.
600 shillings per day. So at the end of the week, he would have receiving 3,000 shillings, right? P.S. Hinga would come and apologize to people. Yes, the last tranche it has not come, but we're working regularly. Almost every Thursday, he would be saying, you know what? This is happening. People will be paid. You don't worry. The people who are responsible for those payments at the ward level, what did we hear that they were doing? By virtue of the fact that they're the ones who are handling the purse, you know you're supposed to be getting 600 shillings a day. They will chop some 150 shillings off of it, and you paid 450 after all.
Yeah, administration fees.
Yeah, administration fees after all. You have a job. What is it? You have some money. So
we're paying you. Yeah.
We are paying you, but we also facilitate this money. Meanwhile, P.S. Hinga's office is apologizing to Kenyans on a regular basis, saying, sorry, this money is coming out, and we're sorry for the delay. When it comes, you receive a quarter has been chopped off because Oga, his person in the office, needs to also eat their money. You do the calculation. How many people presenting themselves to that office on a weekly basis coming to get the money that they worked for Monday to Friday? Then not only do you chop their money, you now tell them, you come back next week on Friday. Instead of paying you for this week, we pay you now 2 weeks. Once. Can you imagine the absolute nonsense that has been going on with this kind of thing now?
Yes, I can imagine, because I've had people whom I even know reporting and telling me this. It's not just with... Remember the time when food was being given to people who... the indigent, people who are not in a position to support themselves. And I remember a colleague of mine telling me, because they live in Kibera, saying, the people are supposed to give, they go and hoard that food in their own houses.
Yes, no. They do.
And they first of all give their relatives. The amount the relatives, they think the relatives need. Then, if you're lucky and you know somebody who takes you there. Now, but what picture does this paint? Look at the escalation of it. Huh?
Yeah.
You take the normal 150 shillings bribe as normal. You take driving on any side of the road as normal. You take overtaking in the middle of the road. The road has 2 lanes. You create a third and sometimes even a fourth one. When there's an ambulance that people give way, you then choose to follow the ambulance. When those huge, they're always black vehicles, which also have black chase cars, do the thing that they're doing. It's all part of how it is we have eroded our... You can call it a national psyche, but I'm saying just the very basic moral standards that we have. Our friend Mohammed has been talking about this for the longest time.
It's true.
Because now look, money that is meant for people who really have, as we say in Kenya, no otherwise. People have no qualms taking it, none whatsoever. And to be able to take it, it means you are in a position where you are working and you also have a salary. That's why you're able, because you are part of the individuals who are supposed to process it.
In Nigeria, there's a new slang term. It's called palliative, right? So now, palliative is when now somebody's taking care of you. Do you know where it came from? Just a year ago. In Lagos, Somebody was walking by a warehouse. I said, this place looks interesting. Only for them to ask the guard, what's happening here? Guard told him, this is where the government has this is where we've kept the relief food for people. Relief food? What are you talking about? Yes, every now and then we're supposed to be giving people who have lost their livelihoods because of COVID. Have you given anybody? No. Guy went and called his friend. They broke the building. People carried their food. Because you know what they would have done with it? All these wily politicians, we're going into an election year, would have started taking that food and said, now we are the ones who are providing for you. It spread like wildfire. People in the north now started looking for, you see a warehouse.
Break
it, remove the food and eat, because they said, this is for us. It's for us. Could government arrest anybody and say that you're vandals?
How do you start it?
Where are you going to arrest them from? This food was meant for indigent. It was meant for them. But then you want to hoard it and use it for yourself. So I hear what you're saying. So with chicken and egg situation, who's going to blame whom? Will you blame these individuals who are taking this food? They're hungry. You've not provided for them. They're hungry. Will you blame them now for breaking down the warehouse where you have stolen the food that was meant to feed people who are in a vulnerable state and kept it to use as a campaign tool in the next 12 months. And there are people who are hungry today. Government comes up with a way in which they can help people and pay young men and women here in Kenya. You decide to take 150 from the little 600 shillings. The people who cannot fend for themselves, who are living in a state of severe disability, you even add more people to the list, or you remove them completely and put your own people. It's true. Moral decay is not
it's a big issue, man. I mean, I'm totally disturbed. At the fact that we can say 1,500 people who could have received, because one thing for sure,
genuine people who could have received this money.
This program is supporting persons with severe disability. Okay, these are people who need constant round-the-clock care. They must have a caregiver around them throughout. They're the ones who are supposed to be receiving this 2,000 shillings every month from the national government, okay, to the social protection program. And then there are people who've been receiving money and they do not deserve to be on the list.
Yeah.
You know, there are people who are not on this list, who are not categorized as persons with severe disability, but they still need support.
That's it.
They have a disability that they still need support for. But here we're saying that we're playing around with unakula pesa ya walemavu.
You're playing around with department to commission to who.
What is Pauline Shiro saying?
Weep, my beloved country, Pauline says. The rot is deep, deep among us. It's dog eat dog, everybody for themselves. It starts from the grassroots, the chief officers, etc., etc. The greed is on a destructive level. Yani, like we say in our mother tongue, madhani oka, you continue the rest. In the pots and white fences on the expressway, and with Ndu, they will be stolen and plucked within this year. Abi, wait now. It's March.
Madhani oka.
That one.
Just telling God, please come yourself.
You yourself.
Don't send your lovely beloved
son.
Don't
tell Gabriel. Don't even send your son.
Come. You. Utuokoe wewe mwenyewe. 27 minutes to 8. Let's take a break.
This is the Situation Room. The only way to start your day.
This nation has never healed genuinely from the 2000-2008 violence. We've never had a healing process. We've swept it under the rug.
Let me tell you, the handshake was the most disastrous political event in the history of country after the coup attempt of 1982.
There's no Kikuyu pothole, Luo lack of water, Okamba, lack of traffic.
Yeah.
There is no Luya lack of drugs in the hospitals. Ojaluo one. All our issues are the same issues.
If you are in a room and just about everybody in that room has a court case or another, what impression does that give you?
What are you saying? Why haven't you done it in the last 20 years? But they're telling us, like August, some miracle is going to happen. My friend, I want to tell Kenyans you'll be in for a rude shock.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
Cloudy conditions in Nairobi this morning. We'll see highs of 27 and lows of 16. It's sunny at 15 in Nakuru. 29 will be the high and lows of 13. Nyeri, 14 and cloudy. Highs of 28 and lows of 13. Same thing in Eldoret. We'll see highs of 27. It's raining in Mombasa at 28. Highs of 33 and lows of 26. While it's also raining in Malindi at 28. We'll see highs of 33 and lows of 27. All right. Kisumu is cloudy at 20. Highs of 29. While we have some sunshine in Kakamega, it'll go to highs of 29 and lows of 15. It's cloudy in Kampala at 18, highs of 27 and lows of 18. While Dar es Salaam is raining at 25, we'll see highs of 32. It's mostly clear and sunny in Johannesburg at 14, highs of 23 and lows of 13, while mostly clear at 27 in Lagos. 33 will be the high and lows of 27. It's clear in Kinshasa at 23, highs of 34 and lows of 22.
Spice and everything nice, everything nice.
Spice up your life.
Any better on the Thika Superhighway? Not just yet. After Allsop's free and clear, but then we're seeing that build-up that has come from the Outer Ring Junction and is going then all the way down into the city. Bits and bobs here and there, but Thika Road still want to contend with this morning, as well as Kiambu Road. Many lanes trying to get towards Muthaiga Square. Coming out of Westlands, also that is building up. Lavington out into Kileleshwa through to that Chiromo area has built up quite some this morning. Not too bad in the eastern part of the city, except on the eastern bypass. And we'll see that junction area just clogging up a bit. Langata Road not in full swing just yet, so you can get off that without too much of a headache, at least for now. The bypass is looking pretty good. Southern bypass, use that other area to get into town if you will. All right, let's see what's coming off of Mombasa Road. Not too bad today. Traffic on Mombasa Road has greatly improved, and so we're thankful for that. Knock on wood that it doesn't get any worse, but we'll keep an eye on things. Let us know what's happening in your neck of the woods. SpiceFM KE on Twitter. Text 40127.
Spice and everything nice. All right, okay.
Spice up your life. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings.
It's 23 minutes to 8.
94.
Please read that story again.
Okay. Let me start again. Just give me one moment. Okay. Maybe I need to.
You need 2 moments?
Yeah.
Okay. 2 moments. We're talking about persons with disabilities. We're actually talking about the program, the National Safety Net program by the national government. This is nestled under the Ministry of Public Works, blah, 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 very many things. State Department for Social Protection. The Inua Jamii program, which has several beneficiaries. Beneficiary elderly. Beneficiaries orphans. Beneficiaries is the persons living with severe disability.
I will tell you from the beginning, ghosts walk away with cash for the disabled and the poor. Some 1,290 unregistered individuals benefited from cash transfers to poor women with severe disabilities, an audit has revealed. This raises eyebrows on credibility of the multi-billion shillings program aimed at cushioning the vulnerable from extreme economic shocks. The Public Service Commission said, although 5,570 females were registered to benefit from the cash transfer to persons with severe disabilities last year, officials of the State Department for Social Protection made payments to 6,860 individuals, raising concerns over theft through ghost payments totaling 31.2 million. All right. A total of 837.51 million shillings was paid out to PWSDs, with some 27,697 males also benefiting from the cash transfers. It means that each of the 34,539 listed beneficiaries took home 24,248 shillings. The State Department for Social Protection should establish So they are the ones who are being asked to establish the reasons for disbursement made to non-registered persons in the program for persons with severe disabilities. This is what is being asked by the PSC. The cash transfer program has in the past been dogged by scandals in which some officers created ghost lists of beneficiaries and pocketed the money. And some rogue officers also manipulated lists of beneficiaries to include their relatives and cronies, locking out many deserving cases. The government, through the State Department for Social Protection last year, continued to implement the Inua Jamii transfer program that targets older persons, orphans and vulnerable children, and persons with severe disabilities.
So this report is basically focusing on women with severe disability.
Yes.
5,570 women registered to be beneficiaries of this particular fund.
And remember, that was the thing, Eric, that in order to receive, you had to register.
You're registered.
Yes. You couldn't just randomly walk in and say, I'm one of them. There was a registration process. And based on that, this list was then used to pay out.
So 5570 registered,
Yes.
6860 benefit.
Yes.
1290 not known. How they ended up with on the benefits list, but not on the beneficiary register. I've got questions on how the Public Service Commission is coming, is the one raising this issue. Because
And they're the ones demanding of the State Department to get this done, to get this all figured out. How did this actually work? They are the ones making this demand.
Okay. Public Service Commission, it's an independent commission, but its sort of parent ministry is the same one that is the parent to the State Department.
State Department.
The point, though, is if indeed it is true, and let's work with knowing this country, it is highly likely that it is true, that some 1,290 people got money and yet they are not registered as persons with disability. Now, let's even go further and say, remove the entire benefit of doubt. They are not persons living with severe disability.
Or
because they could be.
They could be vulnerable.
The end of this audit could actually establish that, okay, those ones had been registered, the register had not been updated at some point, blah, 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 but there are actually another 1,290 people with severe disabilities who had been brought into the safety net. Let's say that they are not. What would that be saying about not just, it's not the person up there, it is the person who
receiving
the
this
person
money.
who has opened a bank account, because
Yes.
money is sent to a bank
your
account. The person who went and opened a bank account, and the money comes from the National Treasury through the State Department into this bank account, and you go and withdraw that money, knowing that you do not qualify for this particular support. What is that?
You receive it in lieu of somebody who is suffering today. This is the thing here, that there is somebody on this other
There's
side.
somebody else who should be on this list.
Exactly, who should be getting this money.
You know, you're asking the question about this moral decadence that we're seeing. And the question that I am asking is, what path have we followed to get here? And if you look back, even in your own lives, you will find you can actually come up with examples of where you started seeing the rot setting in. I started seeing it in the 90s, seeing it visibly. I was a headmaster of a school. Now, I worked at Mombasa. One of the things that the community I come from were good at doing was raising money to bury the dead. Now, very many people whom I happen to know either worked for the customs or KPA. Okay, and I was amazed at the amount of money that used to be raised when somebody who worked in one of these organizations passed away. It was it was hundreds of thousands. But then what was even more shocking was after the person was buried, somebody who knows you are a head teacher comes to you and says, these children can't afford to go to school because of A, B, C, D. Say, but the father died recently, yes. Said, well, the government house they were living in, they had to be evicted because the guy is no longer there. Said, I understand that. But money was raised. that money I thought was supposed to help with such things.
Yeah.
Says, the committee that raised the money gave the wife of this gentleman who's passed away some 50,000 shillings, and maybe they raised some 400 or 500,000 shillings. I said, so what happened to the rest of the money? Said, spent on the funeral. Said, spent doing what exactly? Okay. Now, when you followed it, what you would find would happen was that even as money was collected, when people start to collect the money, they would be spending it. The committee would hire a bus or matatus to take a large number of people to the funeral. They would be accompanied by drinks, meaning this money which was intended for the family was being spent by this very, very committee. So by the time the funeral was over, there was hardly anything left for that particular family. So one had to now start looking for bursaries for these children to actually go to school, to find a way in which they could be educated. And yet, because you see, when someone dies, the dues that were owed to them don't come immediately.
Take some time.
Oh, it takes quite some time. What am I saying? I used to marvel. And I used to wonder, but why then do you have these groups and these committees when the people who are supposed to benefit from it clearly don't? Now, I personally never joined any of those ones because what I saw, I said no. I really do not want to be part of this. Not this. The suffering of the family that is left behind was immense, and this person had friends. And even hearing cases of people who would then come in to assist, it was rare. What am I saying? I looked at that thing then and tried to ask myself, what really is happening here? Then I realized this. Part of the reason why they could raise such large amounts of money, corruption was rife at the port, and most people lived beyond the means of their salary. You got bribed for this and the other, allowing this to go this way and this to happen that way. So on a daily basis, many of these people were cash rich. On a daily basis.
Every day.
They had some money in the pocket.
Daily.
There's an open tap.
Daily.
All you need is get up and go, show up.
You don't even need to ask anybody because you'll be given your share. Now, so it became clear to me that this money that they were receiving had gotten into their system, had intoxicated them completely. The regular, normal, humane thinking that people would accommodate or what people would assume is normal somehow went out of the window. There are many sides of the story which are actually sad. But I look at, there was a case of a particular gentleman who actually called once here. It's called Kanyeki. He's an AP officer, comes from Nakuru. He called in here. He's somebody I know.
Yes.
Now, he told a story at a conference that I was moderating at, a very interesting story. And he was saying why he stopped taking bribes. He mentioned where he had been working, and there was a vehicle clearly dilapidated, had a problem, and he demanded. Now, the amount of money demanded, they said, we only have this, and they gave him. Not long after that, a group came to him because he was commanding that particular station, and they needed help. It turns out the people who came to ask for help are the same people he had taken money from, and that money they had collected was to bury their own. So he said he realized he had taken money for somebody who was already dead. You are at a roadblock, you take a bribe. You go back to your office, a group comes and says, since you're the person who is in charge of this, we need some help. We were going to bury one of our own, but the money we had to give to police.
And they meet you.
And it is you. He said he thought about what he had done and he swore.
Never again.
He was never, ever, ever going to do that again. And he never did. He said no. This said no. And this he was telling a plenary, telling people, these things that people do, how many lives had I affected by just taking that money? Now, that's somebody whose conscience was pricked and took a stand. But the conscience that needs to be pricked seems to have diminished, well, to the point of almost being extinguished completely. The stories you hear emanating, forget the national government, forget Kenha, county level, monies that are intended to ensure that people's livelihoods are protected and people live good lives. Are these not the stories at a much larger level that the Auditor General keeps reporting?
Yep.
Monies spent. You were told what was supposed to be spent on.
That thing doesn't exist.
Completely doesn't exist. You find ECD schools are supposed to have been built. Water pipes are supposed to have been laid. Money spent. Water pipe, zero.
Nothing done.
Schools, nothing. But the money has been spent.
Yes, yes.
Now, it amounts to the same thing. The people who need this help the most end up not getting it.
Yes.
For instance, in this town, how did we get to a point where water bowsers became the norm for getting water? And yet, we have water sources.
The water that's carried in those bowsers, where are they getting it from? The water that's carried, you all ask yourself, where are they getting this water from? They're getting this water from somewhere that could easily be passed through the pipes and into people's taps. Whether it's a community tap, whatever it is. But then the irony baffles me. That this water is being carried in these bowsers in the tens and thousands of liters, but then there's no water running out of the taps.
Yeah.
What are we talking about?
You see, people who are supposed to be the custodians of morality need to relook and re-audit the work that they do and how they're doing it, because this one falls squarely on their shoulders.
We have to also ask at the same time that those who are receiving this money, knowing full well that you are undeserving of it.
But who's going to prick their conscience?
You
This is why I am.
They look at it from at a point of 30 million shillings. So if we go by what we have heard from government, what used to happen to the education sector before NEMIS came in, and even some time after NEMIS, where you have now proper biometric registration of all children in school.
Yes.
Money for capitation used to be sent from the national government, going to some non-existent school for some non-existent children.
Yes.
Children. Okay? And these are guys who've just played a scheme and they're eating the money.
Yes.
Could be the same thing here. That there's a registration that has happened somewhere in the system. There's some bank accounts that have been opened somewhere in the system, and money is going for supposed beneficiaries of a system. But it's some 2, 3, 10 people who know what they're doing.
But look at
eating
the collusion, Eric. It isn't possible if people in the ministry are not involved.
Of course,
it isn't possible if some head teachers are not involved.
Yeah,
it's a whole chain of.
It's
people.
a chain.
Yes.
And the people know what they're doing.
They do.
But in this particular case, you are saying that people should have been receiving money to assist those who are living with disability.
No, severe disability.
We could even have expanded this. If we said, okay, we have covered everybody with severe disability, now can we start looking at other forms of disability? Are there people who, for example, need daily and regular support? People living with albinism need daily support.
Yes.
The Council for Persons Living with Disabilities gives them some support for buying sunscreen. It's not even enough. If you are not stealing this 31 million shillings, it could even have gone just directly to say, people living with albinism, you need sunscreen, you need to wear hats, you need to wear sunglasses. Let's increase the support so we cover you more. But no, somebody has taken some 31 million shillings.
No problem.
They have bought a house somewhere. They're drinking this money somewhere.
And eating it.
They're eating and drinking the money.
You know.
With zero conscience at all.
Yes. You know, you've heard me say on this show on many occasions that a day of reckoning always comes. Now, there are those who say, no, I don't believe in curse. Actually, I do.
You believe in a curse?
Oh, yes, I do. You go around playing around, because you're not playing around with money. It's people's lives. You have a responsibility. You are paid for that responsibility. And then you choose to abrogate it and to ensure that the lives of people who are deserving of that help is erased. And you think there'll be no consequences. Oh, there are always consequences.
Julia agrees with you. Julia says the universe does not carry debt. It always returns back to you what you gave it.
Yes, and if it doesn't return to you, it will return to your children.
It will be passed on to generation.
It will be passed on to generation. It's the same thing with blessings. Someone may think and they say, that doesn't. Okay, fine. You carry on and see how far that takes you. Carry on. By all means, you carry on. The thing is,
there's somebody with, I'm just thinking, there's somebody with a child somewhere who is actually living with a disability. This child maybe requires
medicine
daily? On a daily basis. This child requires support. This child even requires just a caregiver.
But the child requires basics.
Basics.
Yes.
The mother and father have got to go and earn a living. This child requires a caregiver. Just that support of getting this child a caregiver is taken away from this child. Because hii Kenya bwana ifungwe.
To make it worse, Eric, you'll find that it's a situation where some of that money is actually required for sustenance, just to ensure that somebody has a meal per day. Yeah. And even that one you've taken away. Remember the story of this young boy who had a bottle of soda?
Yep.
Bottle of soda. That's supposed to be a meal.
In Kerio Valley.
Yes. You take a sip.
And then covers it.
And then you chill.
Says
walk around with the other
tomorrow. I'll use it tomorrow.
In this same country. In this same country that we're living in. Now, why do you think that I was saying that these profits that the banks are making, they're not stealing from anybody? I am simply saying that these extremities are a problem. When countries that preceded us and got to the point where they now went the democratic way as opposed to the monarchies, it was because of these extremities. The rich were very rich, the poor were extremely poor. Now, we are encouraging this. When you hear of the numbers of people who are poor increasing, what do you think you're hearing? When you think of conflicts that never seem to come to an end, what do you think you're hearing?
Let's hear from Omar. Omar is in Kwale. Good morning.
Good morning, Eric and
Good morning, Omar.
Morning, Omar.
It's actually saddening to hear such bad news in the morning. I'm actually in contact with beneficiaries, real beneficiaries. And the agony they go through is overwhelming.
These are beneficiaries of the Inua Jamii program?
Yes.
Living with severe disability?
Yes, with severe disability. Well, some of my students are, some of my relatives are, and I have friends who have children that are direct beneficiaries. And you just find somebody's name missing. All of a sudden, it was there.
Right.
Then all of a sudden, it just went missing, and you trace it, and you just can't find it.
And they are no longer receiving the support.
They are no longer receiving the support. Last year, there was some audit whereby people were to re-register. So the re-registration was done. And quite a number of individuals that I know are locked out.
Wow.
Were locked. And these are people who don't have a livelihood. Sincerely, they don't. So that 2,000 shilling goes a very long way.
Indeed.
And somebody just decides.
And what is the reason given for locking them out in the second round?
You've got issues that they are told budget was slashed.
Or budget was slashed, so we are now registering fewer people.
Yeah, budget was slashed. That is one. Another one is that they found out that their disabilities were slightly better off.
Oh, their disability has improved.
Slightly better off compared to others.
Oh, you're not as badly off as somebody else. A new applicant. BS.
No, not a new applicant. New applicants were not allowed to register.
Oh, it's the same ones who.
The same ones. There is no new applicant actually. No new applicant.
You
just go to the county office for National Council for Persons with Disability.
Omar,
and just listen to the reasons and
situkubaliane tu Omar, hii Kenya ifungwe, kila mtu aende nyumbani.
So nyumbani kwetu tutakuwa wapi?
Sasa tujitafutie.
No, but
it's a very, very, very disturbing situation. And Omar, I think we'll call you at one point to get more details on this when we have a little bit more time. Thank you for calling this morning.
Welcome.
Asante sana. Shunipatia Siplodon tafadhali, because me, I'm done.
I think you need it because I can see the instant headache that you've gotten this morning, but we must continue with the show today, Eric. So, 2 times as fast. They'll probably sort out that issue for you right now. Dunk it in some water. Remember, you can get it at all good pharmacies or your Chandarana supermarkets. And if these symptoms persist with these continuing situations,
medical advice.
You need it.
You think it's bad? We are talking to people in Kerio Valley in the next hour. Keep it here.
Spice up your life. The latest news from around the world. 94.4 Spice FM.
This is Newswire. Dennis Aseto. Green Thinking Action Party leader Dr. Isaac Kalua has urged female aspirants seeking elective positions at the polls to join his political outfit. This comes after the party announced that it had waived nomination fees for female candidates in a bid to woo them into joining the party. According to Kalua, his party's philosophy seeks to dispel the notion that only men are fit enough to hold elective positions, underscoring that the outfit is the only ideal political destination for aspiring women. Now, Ford Asili has distanced itself from allegations by female presidential aspirant Greta Muthoni that she is the party's designated flag bearer ahead of the August polls. The party said Muthoni did in fact approach the political outfit but failed to register as a member after declaring her presidential aspirations. As such, her candidature is not recognized. The officials also highlighted how no Ford Asili member attended Muthoni's Sunday press conference when she declared herself as the presidential candidate, citing that the party's regulations on nominations must be adhered to. Now, Google will partner with the Kenya Women Parliamentary Association that will see women politicians equipped with only safety tools and skills that will help them mitigate the impact of online trolls and cyberbullying. The female politicians will use Google's free tool Harassment Manager that allows people more vulnerable on online attacks, such as journalists and women leaders, to document and manage online abuse targeted at them on social media, starting with Twitter. Speaking in Nairobi, Google Eastern Africa Country Director Agnes Gadaya said Google will collaborate with the Kenya Women Parliamentary Association to train women legislators and female aspirants on online safety tools, thereby empowering them to combat gender-based violence. The I Am Remarkable program is also aimed at combating gender-based violence and empowering women to overcome social and cultural barriers and speak openly about their accomplishments. Now, a witness told the International Criminal Court that he was offered 10 million shillings, land, and a fully constructed house to recount his testimony before investigators in the William Ruto Joshua Rapsang case, within which lawyer Paul Gisharu is implicated. The witness said he was approached by a fellow witness who had also withdrawn his evidence and who introduced him to the individuals who then offered him the bribe. The prosecution witness, the 8th since the case facing Gisharu kicked off in mid-February, made the damning allegations before presiding judge Miata Maria Samba. And the Director of Public Prosecutions, Nordin Haji, has dropped corruption charges facing directors of Muga Trading Company, which was said to have supplied transformers to the Kenya Power Company. The DPP, through prosecuting counsel Alexander Muteti, told trial magistrate Felix Kombo that the charges brought against the directors James Njenga Mungai, Grace Wanjira Mungai and John Anthony Mungai stand dropped. However, the defense lawyers Julius Ogamba and Moses Kurgat protested the move, saying no reason or grounds were given to support the application for withdrawal. They said it was an ambush to the defense, as no application for withdrawal was served upon them to enable them respond accordingly. They indicated that already 33 witnesses have testified and that at the opportune time they will raise questions to court to give a determination on how their evidence will be handled. Now, English Point Marina Legal Director Nazir Jinnah has been accused of using Senior Counsel John Hamino's name and that of his company in conducting fraudulent transactions in the pretext of being a lawyer. He stands accused of acquiring 50 million shillings from the sale of a Mombasa property without the consent of the owners. The Director of Assets and Legal Affairs at English Point Marina, who is facing 5 counts of fraud and impersonation, will establish whether the case proceeds as is or with a change of the complainant's legal team next month. Now, there are no indications of survivors following the crash of a China Eastern Airlines flight that officials say was carrying 132 people in a remote mountainous region of southern China. The airline said in a statement it deeply mourned the passengers and crew but did not specify how many people had been killed. Chinese media reports quoted local search and rescue workers as saying they had found no signs of life among the plane's wreckage. And finally, thousands of Ukrainians sought to escape the hellish siege of Mariupol as Russia pounded the city with bombs, and the UN Chief Antonio Guterres appealed for Moscow to end its unwinnable war. The strategic port on the Azov Sea has suffered relentless shelling, but Ukrainian officials say it has not yet been captured by Russia's invasion, which began almost a month ago, splatters to a halt. According to Human Rights Watch, people who had managed to escape Mariupol described it as a freezing hellscape riddled with dead bodies and destroyed buildings. This is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aseto. Good morning.
.5 Spice FM, Kisumu.
It seems that this is the morning for multiple accidents. We're looking at outer ring, yet another one that brings out that Donholm traffic, and it's really crazy this morning. Yet another one has happened on the Thika Superhighway today. So you're wondering, why are we slowing down? Well, it's because of the number of accidents that we've seen, and it seems that when it rains, it pours. Hopefully, we cross fingers, knock on wood, that this doesn't happen anymore. But then we're seeing a slowdown of traffic on the Thika Superhighway, and it's really heavy, going all the way past Survey. Outer ring, terrible getting to that junction, and we're looking at in and outbound traffic by those folks who are then trying to join the highway. Kiambu Road, Coffee Gardens, that was a dream a long time ago. Now we're going well into Ridgeways with traffic coming out on Kiambu Road this morning. Also Limuru Road doing that thing coming out of Parklands, all the avenues. Coming out of Westlands, Ring Road Westlands, going towards Chiroma, we are properly in traffic hour. Juja Road, crazy. Outer ring, even crazier. Coming off Jogo Road, going towards Landis and out towards the Kamkunji roundabout. Traffic galore. Let's keep an eye on things, guys. SpiceFM KE on Twitter. Text 40127. Let's try as much as possible to keep things moving.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room.
It
the
is
only way
8
to
minutes after 8. Good morning. Happy Wednesday, 23rd day of March 2022. Kenya's biggest conversation continues. We are live on Spice FM, online, and also on KTN Home for the entire 8 a.m. until 9.
or call 0703 042 700. Mawasiliano kwetu, nguvu kwako.
Well, you must decide where you are going in the evening. That is, of course, if you intend to leave early in the morning.
You must decide?
Yes, where you're going in the evening. Evening, you make decision. That is, of course, if you intend to leave early in the morning.
Don't wake up in the morning and decide where you're going at that time of the morning.
You can do that if you wish, but your journey will be will be full of interesting things. Yes, and the interest will not necessarily be positive.
Safari ya bamba ni?
Machero.
All right.
Proverb of the day, brought to you by Communications Authority of Kenya.
So, a security chief is citing poor telecommunication networks as a major challenge in the fight against banditry in Kerio Valley. Not just some small-time security chief, but the Rift Valley Regional Commissioner, Maali Mohammed, who is saying poor communication is hurting prompt response by multi-agency security forces. He was speaking during a tour of Kirima and Laikipia West sub-counties. He says the poor network is a major challenge in parts of Laikipia, Elgeyo Marakwet and Baringo. In the past attacks, residents in the rural areas expressed frustration in reaching out to security teams during attacks as some have to cover long distances to find network to call the cops. Mohammed says the local communication service providers need to help improve the situation. The regional boss said the police are investigating claims that some government workers are facilitating the bandits. Tisk. Our officers have fought off the criminals several times. The kind of sustained engagement with our well-trained and armed officers is raising eyebrows. The question is where the criminals are getting guns and bullets. Mohammed said in the past 2 months, the security team has arrested 15 criminals and recovered 5 guns. They were sharing the guns, but they're heavily armed. Or what? I don't understand. 15 criminals, 5 guns. The criminals have been charged with incitement, arson, illegal firearm possession, and malicious damage to property. They have recovered 2 AK-47s, 2 G3s, and 1 M16. He is also saying that efforts of digging trenches at strategic points near the Laikipia Nature Conservancy are ongoing. The multi-agency team is digging trenches to create a buffer zone between the community and the criminals, with 21 kilometers of the targeted 24 kilometers of a trench completed. This is Laikipia. We know about Kerio Valley. We know about this marauding gang that even just comes out and sees a yellow bus. Everybody in this country, you see a yellow bus, you know this is a school bus. See yellow bus, open fire. This was at taught.
Yes. Mogil Secondary School attacked by unknown assailants. Students returned from a field trip in Lake Baringo. Lack of political goodwill is what is being cited, and sincerity among elected leaders along the Kerio Valley is to blame for escalating banditry and cattle rustling. The incidents continue claiming hundreds of lives, innocent lives, every year. It is sad that instead of leaders in West Pokot, Baringo, Turkana, Samburu and Elgeyo Marakwet confronting the menace, the blame game is the order of the day whenever cattle rustlers strike. Communities living in the valley have been subjected to untold suffering since no day passes. Imagine, no day passes without someone being killed or livestock being stolen. Not a day. We saw some ugly incidents over the weekend where in certain villages, people were killed by gunshots. This is at a time also when exams were taking place. We had the Kenya National Union of Teachers calling out on the government saying, how are we going to do this? How are we going to administer these exams when we are not even sure about the security situation? Insecurity caused by cattle raids and banditry has impacted negatively on the socioeconomic growth of pastoralists in the region, despite the presence of hundreds of security personnel. The region has suffered an increase of widows and widowers, orphans, while poverty levels have been skyrocketing. North Rift leaders the other day want the military deployed in Kerio Valley. They spoke a day after bandits killed more than 6 people and injured 6, killed 2 people and injured 6 in Elgeyo Marakwet. In 8 months, bandits have killed more than 120 people in Elgeyo Marakwet, Baringo, West Pokot, Samburu, and parts of Turkana. And what are they saying? You know, this is what we've been doing all this time, is we've had kiddie gloves on to deal with this situation. Now, you know what? According to them, asking President Uhuru Kenyatta, deploy the military in the valley to tame the runaway insecurity. They also want the president to form a task force or cabinet subcommittee as a matter of urgency to deal with the insecurity. According to Nandi Senator Samson Cherargei, the leaders demand quick and firm action to end the killings and the lawlessness.
It's a conversation that we know we have here, just like, top level conversation. Oh, there's another attack. Some people have died. We keep reminding ourselves that whenever you hear there's an attack, it is the end of, a very bad day or very bad night. People do not sleep in their homes. People are displaced. Children are not going to school. There's basically an entire disruption of livelihoods. The Kerio Valley Development Authority has said projects worth 1 billion shillings stalled. Why? Because of all this insecurity. And we are talking as if, the regional commissioner, he's new in the area, but he's an administrator nonetheless. He has gone in and just fitted into a structure that goes all the way up to Matiang'i and above him to the president, comes to him and below him to the county commissioners and everybody else below him, the security people, and even the county government. So the information that he has come and found, he has found a file that has information. We cannot be saying, we're investigating it. It's possible that there are some civil servants who could be helping these people. It's really, really baffling how these people are getting armed in this country. We talked about the story the other day of this taxi driver who was hired in Nairobi, taken to Kisii, lured to go towards Kericho, murdered and his body dumped. And there was no clarity of how he ended up here. Police, elite units at DCI, using just telephone data, fished out the boy at KU in a hostel where he was being hidden. Found him there. If police in Kenya want to find you, my friend,
they'll find you.
Dig a hole.
Bury yourself alive.
But find a way of living in the clouds, they will find you.
Go to the moon, they'll find you.
But in this particular case of the insecurities in Kerio Valley, in Laikipia, in Baringo, we don't know exactly who's causing this chaos. We don't know who's arming these people. We don't know who's attacking villages and then they disappear with animals. Not until they're putting animals on trucks. They walk away animals, but police cannot find them. And they'll attack another village and go again. Police cannot find them.
And if you understand,
we arrest 15 people today, then we stay another 3 weeks, we arrest 5.
And if you know our security system, you know that intelligence is always available even at the village level. So you cannot argue and even try to put forward the case that they don't know who these people are. They are known.
What are you talking about? If you go into any of these villages as a foreigner, you walk into one of those villages, what do you think was going to happen? There will be whispers.
Yeah.
Somebody...
We have a visitor.
Yeah. You would have... By the time an hour has passed, they would have known. Somebody new has come. You mean to tell me now that the intelligence of the country, the intelligence arm of the country, then has no idea who these people are or where they are going?
Our intelligence arm.
That is what you would be had to believe. That is what they would like you to believe, that we are trying our best. We haven't yet found anybody. We've made some arrests here or there. But I keep telling you that this thing is commercial. There is business in conflict. There are people who are benefiting from this. I'm going to be bold as to go ahead and say it, because you cannot tell me that for almost a decade, these things spring up, they die down. They spring up, they die down. It gets worse. It disappears for some time. People die. We say, oh, how terrible. It goes livestock, because the livelihoods of people being affected over and over again. But we really don't know who is behind it or what's causing it or where we can find these people who would then be able to sing. We don't know where they are.
Not a decade, Ndu. More than 4. Since independence Kenya, these people don't know peace. We've been talking about it as if, it's something that is far-flung. We have the victims of what's going on in Kerio Valley with us now in the Situation Room. Timothy Cherop is from Kerio Valley, alongside Nedi Jeruto, who are on the line. Good morning, Timothy.
Good morning to you, sir.
And good morning to you, Jeruto.
Good morning to you too.
Asanteni sana for speaking to us this morning. You live in Kerio Valley. You've been affected by the violence that has been there. Timothy, hebu tuambie wewe kwenu ni wapi?
Mimi natoka upande ya Kerio Valley, Aror one.
Aror.
Where it was attacked on Sunday.
Okay. And Cheruto, where are you from?
I'm from Kaben location in the Endo ward. Ukiona mahali maafa mingi inafanyika.
Yeah.
And it's the border between the Elgeyo Marakwet County and West Pokot County.
So both these areas that you come from have been affected by the violence. Timothy, there was an attack in your area over the weekend. Tell us what happened.
Yeah, we had an attack on Sunday. People were on church. You really know that Sunday is a calm day where people go to worship.
Yes.
And a number of bandits, around 80 armed bandits, came to a place called Koitilial. Maybe to explain to you the Koitilial and its environment.
Yeah.
Koitilial is a small center within Aror ward. And it is nearing the Kapkama Kaponon irrigation scheme, one of the biggest irrigation scheme in Kerio Valley. And it has Koitilial Polytechnic. It has Koitilial Secondary School, where candidates are currently being KCSE exam. So the attack came, and those bandits, it is one of the worst because the earlier attacks have been happening below the road. They have never been a situation where they have come to the center. But this one happened that the bandits had the courage to come all the way from the river Kerio to the marketplace, and they killed 2 people. And injured 6 people who are now receiving medication in MTRH in Eldoret and our county referral hospital in Ike.
Did they take away anything?
Yeah, they took around. They took cattle, a large number of cattle. Still up to now, around over 600 cattle are now disappearing.
Timothy, so 80 people attack a center, and this is a busy center. It has a polytechnic, it has a secondary school, it has obviously shops and businesses, and there are people living there. Was there any warning at all? Did you people know that was there a build-up to the attack on Sunday? Had something happened on Friday, Saturday?
No, obviously, what we know is that along Kerio Valley, there has been attacks. So people are always vigilant. You know, in living in Kerio Valley, you can be killed anytime.
That is how you live your life.
Yeah, because it is one of the easiest way of dying actually in Kenya. Because if you are from Kerio Valley, you can die anytime without even any warning.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but you realize again that because life must continue.
Yeah.
We just take vigilance, and then normal activities continue. So that because again there's a lot of starvation because now it's a dry season. And people are battling with a lot of issues in life, so they have to continue. But the issue of a warning, we never get a warning, because if we get a warning that there will be attack, we normally run away and escape to the other sides of the Kerio Valley escarpment.
Joseph, I want to ask a question, if I may.
Yes.
There are reports that one reads in the paper sometimes, and they want to present the situation you're telling us about as a conflict between 2 communities, where one community attacks another one and the other one retaliates. Is it what we're seeing here, or are we talking about an external force that attacks everybody?
Now, you realize that this issue of insecurity along Kerio Valley has been there for a long time. But when you compare the instant attack and the current one, this one has taken a very different route. Maybe to give you a brief history of how the raids have been happening previously, in between 1998 to around 2004.
Yes.
those were purely people who came to take away our livestock. The bandits of those days would not at any point kill a child. Neither would they kill a woman. And if by any chance they meet you with cattle and you don't have any arm, they will order you to face the other side and lift your arms up, and then they take away the cattle in a peaceful way. Unless they are encountered by our own boys who might be armed with arrows and other things. But now when you look at the current bandits, they are no longer interested so much to cattle, because we have had situations where students are being killed. We had the recent incident of Mukil Secondary School Pass, which was shot in between Aurora. And we are told it took one of the students from our neighboring community who was inside the pass to speak a language that the bandits would understand. Then the bandits did not continue attacking the students.
So this time then...
And then I would ask you, what is the relationship between a pass, a school pass, and cattle?
Sure.
So we realize that these ones are not interested with cattle, are not more interested with cattle. At the same time, also we have had incidences where women and children have been killed in their shamba. So you realize that the pattern has taken a different way. So this is not an issue to do with maybe cattle rustling or maybe a community conflict. No. Because you realize that the same people who are attacking Marakwet are the same people who are attacking Turkana. They are the same people who are attacking Laikipia. And they are the same people who are attacking Baringo.
It's the same gang.
It's the same gang of people, or are you saying when you say the same people, they're the same people doing the same things, or are you saying the same gang of people who is moving from Marakwet to Turkana to Laikipia? Same gang of people, or the people doing the same thing?
It is the same group of people. Because when Laikipia is attacked, we in Marakwet will have this a little bit. When Turkana Kapedo is attacked, we are not being attacked. Now that Marakwet is being attacked, you will not hear of Laikipia or Kapedo.
Kapedo is calm and Laikipia is calm.
Yeah.
Hi, Timothy, thank you. Let's hear from Nedi. Cheruto, you are a local leader and you've told us your area is also frequently attacked. When was the last time you got attacked?
It was just, in fact, as we speak, we are going to bury a woman who was killed on Thursday last week when we were burying another young gentleman who was also a victim of a criminal bandits from our neighboring community.
Hii attack ya last week,
yeah,
walikuwa watu wangapi waliuliwa?
Which one? The other, it was a young man and and a woman, a lady.
2 people.
Yeah, 2 people. In fact, it happened when we were burying the gentleman.
Aye. So they attacked a funeral?
No, this lady was looking after a cattle, and then the lady was harmless. You know, she was just away, like 100 meters from the road. Yeah, and she was killed.
How many?
And in fact, to make it more worse, the criminals themselves, after they have left with the animals, they called back. They called the community that we have never heard you crying. Can you go and pick that woman we have killed?
Aye. Who did they call?
You know, it is so sad.
Who did they call, Jaruto?
No, you know, these people, they are neighbors. The other time when we had when there was peace, so they were interacting, and now that when the insecurity came in, So they know themselves and they have contacts of different people in that community.
Whoa.
Cheruto, who do you think it is? I mean, we've heard from Timothy. Who do you think this is? Because are we looking at the same situation in your area whereby it's not two communities fighting against each other? Is it an external force? What do you think is happening here?
I feel like the government have neglected the people of Kerio Valley. Because how can you allow? It is not, I cannot say it is a community, but it is a group. It's a group of individual criminals, bandits, who are very notorious. Because, and they are coming from, most of these criminals are from Tiat constituency, in Baringo County, and partially they are coming from the West Pokot County. So I feel like the government have not done their work. Because where in this world, where in a country where we have laws, we have constitution to protect our life and protect the property, that they can allow terrorists to just do as they feel like. They have killed people, they have taken property as they wish. Like when we look into the number of animals that we have lost, leave alone more than 100, we have lost more than 100 lives.
Yeah.
As at now.
Yeah.
The number of animals now we have lost a lot of animals along the Kerio Valley, and you can't see them grazing the animals in their area. So the question now is, where do these people take the animals after the raid?
Right.
Because you cannot tell me more than 1,000 animals can just graze in our neighboring
and you wouldn't
community.
know.
And even the security people don't know. I mean, they would be traced.
You're saying?
You would know if animals of that number were moved from one place to another. Somebody would see them somehow.
Grazing.
And also, right now, there is a drought. So, they could be moving towards Kerio River. Immediately after raid, those animals are taken away. So, we feel like there is an external force in this insecurity thing.
So when you say taken away, are you implying that they are ferried away? They don't just walk away. They're probably put in vehicles and taken away. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. I think that is what is taking place.
But let me ask another question that has been on my mind. These bandits that we speak of, have you heard of anybody saying that they recognize some of them, that they are people who may be known? Because every part of this country has their own homegrown thugs. Are they perhaps people who are known to be of ill intent, people who are known to be malcontents, or are they complete strangers?
No. At times, some. Some, like when they come, they come and raid. During that time, maybe there is a fight, of course. So in case even one person from that side is killed, they will recognize, and some cannot be recognized. Yeah.
So it's some are you're able to identify some.
Some can be identified, and they even know the locations where they come from. And these people, these criminals, they have identified their names.
Yep.
They are given to the authority.
Yep.
But they have failed to arrest them. Because you cannot tell me they can just kill and run away, and we have a government in place and they are just keeping mum.
That's true. Nedi Cheruto, please stay on the line, and Timothy Cherop as well. We're talking to two people who are in Kerio Valley who are basically victims of the ongoing insecurity in Kerio Valley. It's not a 1 week, 2 week, 3 week. It's been happening for months, insecurity in Kerio Valley. This is the Situation Room on SpiceFM, on KTN Home, and on YouTube and Facebook. Let's take a quick break. We come back and continue with the victims, and also we'll open up the phone lines. I mean, something needs to give in this particular case. Good morning.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
If I'm found guilty, there is no problem. I'm willing to serve. I have no problem. Jails are meant for human beings.
They say a society gets the leadership it deserves. If you have a corrupt, crooked and rotten society like we have in Kenya, then of course they will get that kind of a leadership.
I think the president should dissolve parliament. That's the best solution at this moment in time. Dissolve parliament.
All of you go home.
Yes, we all go home.
How are we encouraging other people who might have new and creative ideas? Young people who are making money without any government help. They are just buying their own bundles. They are going on TikTok and making money. KRA is coming after them.
I've been in parliament for 15 years. We have been unable to pass the gender law. And yet no presidential candidate is talking about it now. Because we are fake. The truth is, all the men refused to vote for that law.
What did Sonko do to Pumwani Maternity Hospital?
Yeah, he
with
cleaned
his
it up.
own money.
Cleaned it with his own money. That was him as an individual.
Yeah. And I did not say he was cleaning his own money. I was saying he cleaned
Foot, mouth. Foot, mouth. Eric.
Okay.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
Cloudy conditions in Nairobi, a chance of rain, highs of 27 and lows of 16 at 17 degrees. Nakuru is sunny. 29 will be the high and lows of 13. It's mostly cloudy at 16 in Nyeri, highs of 28 and lows of 15. Eldoret is cloudy at 16, highs of 28 and lows of 13. And we're looking at light rain continuing in Mombasa at 28, highs of 33 and lows of 26. It's cloudy and rainy in Malindi, 29, highs of 32 and lows of 27. Mostly cloudy conditions in Kisumu at 21, highs of 29 and lows of 20, while at 22, Kakamega is cloudy, highs of 30 and lows of 16. At 21, it's cloudy in Kampala, 27 will be the high and lows of 18. And we'll see highs of 31. In a sunny Dar es Salaam, coming down to lows of 25. It's sunny at 15 in Joburg, 23 will be the high and lows of 14, while it's mostly clear at 27 in Lagos. 33 will be the high today. We'll see highs of 34 in Kinshasa. It's mostly sunny currently at 23.
Spice up your life.
All right, so we're looking at it coming all the way from Clay City. At some point on the Thika Superhighway, that happened really early today. There's been a number of accidents, unfortunately, today that have slowed things down on the Thika Superhighway. We're also looking at it still heavy coming off of Kiambu Road well into the estates today. And all right, let's take a look at Mombasa Road today. Coming off from SGR, heading out towards Cabanas. That looks all right, at least for now. But we're looking at outbound traffic around Imaradaima. Going out towards that southern bypass turnoff, really, really slow today. Langata Road not doing too bad. Coming off of that traffic, it looks like it's better. Raila Odinga Way, however, taking on some traffic going towards Gong Road, and that slows down as you get into the city. Uhuru Highway then through towards Chiromo, and then it slows down some because Ring Road Western taking off quite some from Wayaki Way, going out towards Chiromo, onto Wangari Maathai Road Way and Limuru Road as well. That continues coming out of Westlands. All right, we'll keep an eye on things being out of traffic hour in a short while. Let's talk SpiceFM KE on Twitter. Text 40127.
Classic soul, R&B, smooth jazz, neo soul, and nostalgic ballads.
Make some noise. Yeah.
You're listening to Spice FM. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
This is the Situation Room on Spice FM, on KTN Home, on YouTube, and on Facebook, and www.spicefm.co.ke. We are talking about the insecurity in Kerio Valley. Joining us are two victims from the area. Timothy Cherop is from Kerio Valley, and Nedi Cheruto is also from the area. Nedi is also, incidentally, a member of the County Assembly. Timothy and Nedi, we have, of course, read reports and seen coverage about many security meetings that are held there by the various government agencies Even the previous regional commissioner, George Natembea, the current regional commissioner, Maali Mohammed, they've been holding security meetings with the local leaders, talking about how to address this issue. Timothy, when is the last time you attended such a meeting?
Some personally, I haven't attended any of the meetings because most of the meetings they call our area leader.
Yep.
And it is good that Honorable Nedi Jeruto is in the room, so she can speak openly about that. But what I know of the last meeting that was held in Nakuru, where the CS for Interior, Dr. Fred Madiang, was, they agreed that the issue in Kerio solely can be solved by deploying NPR in the area.
This is a National Police Reservists.
There was a time when NPR were in Kerio and that was the time that we, the people of Kerio enjoyed peace for a little moment. And we even took care of our cattle, and those are the same cattle now that we had in that time that they are now the bandits are taking away now. So one of the issues that I followed up was NPR. Because when we had NPR, there was peace in Kerio, but the NPR were withdrawn because of reasons best known by the government. And up to now, we don't have the NPR in place.
Timothy, why is it important to have the National Police Reservists and not police themselves?
National Police Reservists in Kerio are people who are brought up in Kerio, so they understand the terrain and the environment within Kerio. And some we know, we know how our police officers operate. Somebody from Kilifi or from Nakuru, as a police officer, is deployed to Kerio, a very harsh environment. The person doesn't know or doesn't understand what is happening in Kerio. And the difference between National Police Reservists and police officers is that when there is an attack, our NPR do not need any order to respond.
Okay.
But police officers will have to wait for an order so that they come out of the police station, which is unfortunate. Most of the time they come after we have lost the people. So their only work is to carry the dead using their Land Cruiser.
Wow.
So, it is important to have NPR because they understand the environment and they respond immediately.
It's quick to deploy.
Yeah.
Nedi, you've attended these meetings, I presume? Security meetings?
Yeah.
When is the last meeting that you, when and where was the meeting that you last attended?
The last meeting that we've had, it was in Nakuru, whereby the CS, Dr. Fred Madiang, called all the leaders, elected leaders from Baringo County, Elgeyo Marakwet County, and West Pokot County. We deliberated on a number of issues, and the CS promised that he was going to implement. In fact, the first intervention was there was to be an operation, especially to start from areas of Baringo and the Marakwet East constituencies, and also the constituency. This one for West Pokot that it is bordering Elgeyo Marakwet County.
Okay.
The core constituency, I mean. So it was on 5th of February, and up to date, we've never seen any action taken, and that is why even the bandits, the criminals themselves, they have understood the government. They are just threatening, and there is no action being taken.
All back and no bite.
Right.
Yeah.
Neddy, even as you think about this, I mean, you've attended the security meetings, you've heard the promises from government, from the CS himself, things that they said they would do. Do you think they know who the perpetrators are? Or are they feeling out in the dark like everybody else?
About the perpetrators, of course, we have the administrative unit, the lowest administrative unit, that they understand who is this person, where is he from which village, from which clan, and they have their names. Because the local leaders, like the chiefs, assistant chiefs, they know these people. So it is only the government that they have not taken the action. In fact, the fact stops at the office of CS. Because how can, I fail to understand that if at all someone can do an attack, like, for example, the Westgate attack.
Yep.
There was response. The government responded
Immediately.
promptly.
Yep.
Immediately. I don't know why. And there was that Westgate attack, and we had also another. It was an attack
14
somewhere in
Riverside.
Mandera, Quarry thing,
Oh, yep.
where they sent a chopper to go and rescue the people. So, how now that in Kerio Valley, the people are being killed, the government are there, they are watching, they are being silent, and I don't think these criminals can overpower the government, because how now? That means there is a hand behind this thing.
So
And
the criminals are being protected by the government.
Yeah, they are being protected. And these are a government that they took hold of office, that they will protect.
From what you're
the people.
thinking is, I mean, Neddy, I think even as you say some of these things, I see that maybe you're able to piece them together. If they know who the perpetrators are, number one, they've not been able up until this time to arrest anybody, significant enough to stop these attacks. They know who these people are. Why would they be protecting them? From what you see and what you think? From the chatter why would they be protecting them?
Now, I cannot tell, because the reasons are best known to the government. Because we've tried as leaders, we have called for demonstrations, because there are other ways of maybe you are relaying or you are giving out your information to the authorities.
Yep.
Our leaders, as leaders, we have always visited the offices, telling them that this situation in Kerio Valley is worse. You are supposed to arrest the situation. But there is nothing that has been done. We've gone for demonstrations. Imagine, even like a mother killed with her children. She was just harvesting a millet. Yeah. She was in her farm. And no weapon, nothing. And even that one did not even smoke out the CS himself and come and assist the situation. He has come to Kerio Valley, of course. He has come to Kerio Valley several times. But what is failing is about implementation. They have not, because if I can tell you that among the stopgap measures that the CS told us that day, there was to have a aerial operation beginning tomorrow of that day.
Yeah.
That was February 4th.
Yeah.
Recruitment of NPR, deployment of AST, deployment of 5 police stations along that borderline. And they were also supposed to give protection to the schools. In fact, they said they will assign 2 police officers along the schools in Kerio Valley. And up to now,
none of those things has happened.
None of these things has been done.
So no recruitment of NPR, no deployment of police to the schools, no deployment of anti-stock theft police.
No. So, Madam was asking about how we as people of Kerio Valley, we have just said the government have left us, they have betrayed us, and we are on our own.
Yeah.
As a community.
Are you part of the people who have petitioned the UN Secretary General to intervene on behalf of the people of Kerio Valley?
When you go even in your YouTubes and maybe where these social media platforms,
Yep.
you will not miss this space, Medigito, because that is where I come from.
Yeah.
I feel the pain, and I know what is going on.
It's unfortunate. Nedi, we thank you very much for speaking to us. Nedi Cheruto is an MCA, and Timothy Cherop is the community leader in Kerio Valley. Thank you very much both for speaking to us this morning, and thank you for letting us know what's been happening on the ground. We'll be getting in touch with you.
Before even winding up,
Yep.
at times you are asking Timothy about maybe this is a conflict. I don't think it's a conflict, because conflict arises whereby we have maybe there is a resource that we are fighting for.
Yes.
The boundary of Marakwet, Elgeyo Marakwet County, the Baringo County, and the West Pokot County is distinct. We have nothing like conflict. The only thing that maybe in my point of view is that maybe this Kenya Meat Commission, maybe there are some cartels that they are using the criminals. By the way, I'm not even ashamed to say it is Pokot candidates criminals, because they are known where they are coming from. Though I can't say that all Pokots are bandits, but they are coming from there. And maybe there was an issue about this. You said maybe this is like the Pokots come in. It's like a retaliation attack. But I don't see that is a big issue, because at times maybe it might be a retaliation attack, maybe one or two. The Marakwets have no that as such. Of course, maybe if there is one or two, but it is not that big that cannot be sorted out.
So it's,
where the notorious criminals are from, it is from the Tiati constituency.
Tiati.
And their leaders, we cannot engage their leaders, because someone like their MP, during these meetings, like the local meetings that we've had from Honorable Lochagapong, Kangoka Poen, Honorable Sang, there is nowhere the MP from Tiati is found.
Why?
It is very rare.
Why?
So maybe those who are also on the not opened up. There is no schools, there is no road, there is no charges. So those people, as much as even we claim that they are doing this contrary to maybe human life or what, but also they don't have the information.
They've been marginalized for many years.
Those people they are also neglected in a way, because if we have no schools, if we have no infrastructure, there is no development in those places of constituency. So if at all the leaders, these are people that can listen to their leaders. If at all the leaders could be in front line in fighting this thing, as in we as the affected communities, the affected constituencies, we could be talking in one voice as leaders. Maybe we could have arrested this thing. And also about NPR, I'm winding up. About the NPR, you say that why the police cannot perform their duties. Where this thing happened, I visited the Soitilial attack place, and where in fact they came to the center, they terrorized everywhere. The one of the victims, by the name Edwin, he was killed opposite Koitilia Secondary School. And remember, there are students who are doing the examinations. The examinations are on, and the gunshots everywhere. And in the same place, police station is only 100 meters away. These people at their field day. In fact, they were even if you add even the story for those who maybe they survived the attack. In fact, they took their sodas, their lunches,
The attackers.
and the police were there. They took like 2 hours in that center.
Whoa.
And there was no gunshot from the police station. So when we are calling for NPR, our people feel that it is better for someone that comes from that place, he can die because of his people.
They have skin in the game.
Yeah.
Thank you very much,
It is
Neddy.
not even about terrain. It is not even about knowing terrain or what.
Mm.
Remember the RC, the former RC, Mr. Natembea, himself, he said that these criminals are more powerful than even the government. Like, seriously?
Jokes. Neddy, thank you very much, Neddy Cheruto, for speaking to us. And also thank you very much to Timothy Cherop. The conversation continues. We've been talking about the insecurity in Kerio Valley. You've just heard it from the horses' mouths. These are people who are living the experience of this insecurity on a daily basis. People in Koitilial Center, Timothy is from there. Neddy also visited the area. 80 people come and they rain terror in a place. They even have time to go into a shop, take soda, have soda, enjoy themselves, walk away with cattle, leave 2 people dead, leave 6 others injured, taken to hospital. Another one last week on Thursday, they're coming, they see a woman who is tending to her livestock. They shoot her dead. As they go away, they call their opposites in the village and they tell them, "Nyinyi watu hata mpigangi kelele siku hizi. We have killed someone. Can you go and pick her up?"
Imagine.
And just like Neddy was saying, in the Westgate attack or in these terrorist attacks, okay, you're talking about our intelligence service. Our intelligence service, whenever we are told by the government that they foil very many terror attacks, I believe them. Because of just those incidences where the unfortunate bit that one gets away and they get to hit us at Westgate, at 14 Riverside. 14 Riverside, people come and attack. They have evaded the security and intelligence apparatus up to the point they launch an attack. But by the end of the day, our security system is able to know exactly who has attacked us. Remember, the attackers were on a suicide mission. They're dying. They're not the ones who are telling the story. But by the end of the day, our security system is able to tell us, okay, so these are the people who attacked us. They came from a house in Ruaka. This is for how long they lived there.
Carrying out this kind of business within the mall.
This is what they were doing. On the day before the attack, they had met on Limuru Road, and these are how the people who facilitated them, the people who helped them to buy a car, the people who helped them. In fact, one of them was married, and this is the woman who... They are able to piece together everything within a matter of days. They can tell us who did it, how they got here, how they planned it, how they did it,
who their accomplices
were, and they arrest the accomplices. But in this particular case, we don't know who is selling arms. We don't know how the arms are being transported. We don't know how the arms are being distributed. We don't know who these people are who are sitting and planning attacks. They come in, they attack opposite a police station. They walk away with animals. We don't know who they...
And we cannot find them. The animals that they walked away with are 100 head of cattle. And we don't know how to... Unless they were put in a vehicle. Even if they were put in a vehicle, we can't track where this vehicle came from, where they were taken. These animals then, even if they were walking, they did not graze. Their tracks were not seen anywhere. Can't tell.
The best we can do is dig trenches.
You know, this falls in the category of things which are stranger than fiction.
Completely.
In a country like this one here, it isn't possible. It genuinely isn't possible to perpetrate a crime and not be known, or our security forces are that good. Our intelligence sources are that good.
No,
they're that good.
This is not for want of inability, or it's not for want of ability. That's what I'm saying. It is deliberate inaction.
You know,
it is.
The thing that
you
bothers
can't explain
me,
it any other way.
and I can't really understand. What is it that hinders the CES in charge of the interior, the PS, the apparatus at the very top? What is this thing that is preventing them from doing what they need to do? and which they know they can do, and they can do.
And they know what needs to be done.
They know it better than us.
It is lack of
You
desire.
see, us here we're theorizing, we're listening. It's conjecture. We're putting together. Then they actually have actual knowledge.
They know.
Yes.
But they choose not to do something about it.
Why?
That's the question. Why?
Yeah.
You see, that's the bother. Why?
Why would Matiang'i not actualize what he has promised?
Yes.
So this is what we're going to do. We are going to deploy police officers, 2 police officers per school. We are going to have NPR. I'm going to deploy anti-stock theft officers. We're going to increase the number of... We are going to do this, and the other. More than a month and a half later, it has not happened.
Why?
Why?
The business of conflict is sweeter than ending it.
But this one is a little more than just business. What is it that holds the
control.
hands? What
There's
is
control.
it? Again, I'm asking what is it that's holding the hands of the senior-most officers in charge of this ministry?
And these people, they haven't been in this position for long.
No.
Dr. Kibicho was not here in the 90s in this position.
No, he was not.
Matiang'i was not in this position in the 90s. He was not dealing with these conflicts. But then you can't just tell me that he has come in and he has been sucked into it. What big force is this?
What hinders them? Because
that comes and tells Matiang'i, you know what, those things that you've said,
leave those things alone, my friend.
forget it. Apana. We want to say thank you to the audience on KTN Home. The conversations continue on SpiceFM in the next hour, and we'll open up the phone lines because we've got to discuss this openly and candidly. A very good morning to you, 9 a.m.
Spice up your life. The latest news from around the world. 94.4 Spice FM.
This is Newswire. Dennis Aseto. Orange Democratic Movement leader Raila Odinga jetted back to the country after a week-long tour in the United Kingdom. Following the culmination of the overseas tour, Odinga is expected to hit the ground running on the Azimio la Umoja presidential campaigns across the country, with a mega tour expected at the end of the week in the Rift Valley region. While in the UK, his loyal lieutenants, led by ODM Secretary General Edwin Sifuna and Kenya MP Kanini Kega, have been traversing across the country to popularize his presidential bid in his absence. Farmers in various parts of the country have been left stranded after the failed rains curtailed any harvest for them, a situation that has seen some of them state that they have been left without food. This comes as Oxfam International released a report that paints a grim picture of the drought situation in East Africa, which has seen as many as 28 million people across the region face severe hunger. The biting hunger in Kenya, Somalia, South Sudan and Ethiopia, brought about by the drought, is worsening every day. Now, students who fail their driving test could be able to resit it after 7 days if a law which seeks to revise the period from the current 21 days is passed. The proposed amendment was pushed by the Automobile Association of Kenya and has received backing from the National Transport and Safety Authority. The latest comes amid ongoing inspection of all traffic driving schools, driving instructors and driving licenses rules 2020 by Parliament's Committee on Delegated Legislation. The High Court in February suspended the implementation of the rules after the Driving School Association petitioned against them, citing inadequate participation before they were implemented. This, as the National Transport and Safety Authority says, investigations are underway following an expose that revealed a flawed process of issuing driving licenses at the organization. The authority's head of motor vehicle inspection, Gerald Wangai, stated that NTSA's Directorate of Criminal Investigations Department is probing the claims. He affirmed that stern action will be taken against anyone found to be culpable in the incident that has elicited public concern. In an investigative report done by the BBC Africa, a syndicate that saw illegitimate drivers acquire licenses without training was exposed. The Russian government has lifted a travel restriction imposed on Kenyans at the height of COVID-19 infections in March 2020. Russian embassy in Kenya made the announcement as it opened its borders for travelers from Kenya and called on passengers intending to travel to apply for visas. The directive will now enable even the students seeking to apply for programs in Russia-based institutions to apply, which had previously been barred from accessing them. Now, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has called on Pope Francis to mediate in his country's conflict with Russia to help alleviate human suffering nearly 1 month into Moscow's invasion. Zelensky said he had held a telephone call with the Pope and that he had told His Holiness about the difficult humanitarian situation and the blocking of rescue corridors by Russian troops. Negotiators from Moscow and Kyiv have held ongoing talks aimed at ending nearly 4 weeks of fierce fighting, but have failed to announce any progress so far. Pope Francis has called for an end to the conflict on more than one occasion, and although he has condemned the massacre in Ukraine, he has avoided mentioning Russia by name. And Japan is protesting Russia's decision to break off negotiations formally, ending nearly 8 decades of lingering hostilities from World War II because of Tokyo's response over Russia's invasion of Ukraine. The two nations have been trying to reach a peace treaty for years to resolve a disputed chain of islands off Japan's northern island of Hokkaido, known in Russia as the Kurils and the Northern Territories in Japan. The islands were seized by Russia under the banner of the Soviet Union at the end of World War II. Japan has imposed a number of economic sanctions on Russia in reaction to the invasion and has announced plans to revoke Russia's most favored nation trade status. Russia's foreign ministry announced it was ending the talks, accusing Tokyo of taking an unfriendly position against the country and trying to damage its interests. This is News. I'm Dennis Aseto. Good morning.
.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Okay, there's some crazy outbound traffic going along Mombasa Road today. Not sure what is causing that, but bumper to bumper all the way through to the tip of the southern bypass. Also, so we're looking at traffic still continuing coming out of Westlands. It's a lot better along the Thika Superhighway. We're just seeing traffic past the Utali Drift and then heading towards the Pangani underpass. It's also looking a lot better on Kiambu Road, not as far back as it was previously, but then also still trying to head into the city and then out towards the Globe Cinema overpass, but it shouldn't be too sticky from here on out. Much better in most parts. We're just looking at that traffic on Langata Road getting towards the T-Mall roundabout, but then thereafter it should be all right. A little bit going towards the City Mortuary roundabout on Gong Road. But apart from that, we should be out of traffic hours soon enough. Shouldn't be too much more painful here on out. Let's talk. SpiceFM KE on Twitter. Text 40127.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down.
7 minutes after 9.
This is
Thank
the
you very
Situation
much for
Room,
keeping it locked on
the
Spice
only
FM
way to
around
start
the
your
country,
day.
or SpiceFM KE, YouTube and Facebook, www.spicefm.cu.ke. Across the globe, today's proverb.
Right. You must decide where you're going in the evening. That is, if you intend to leave early in the morning.
This one is from Mali again.
Last one from Mali.
You must decide where you're going in the evening if you intend to leave early.
You have a journey in the morning. Plan for it the evening before that morning.
Jipange mapema.
Yes.
Jipange mapema. Okay. Good one. That conversation with Neddy and Timothy, I mean, it's really eye-opening. Hilary Kanda says the government, as it has been said by the two, Timothy and Neddy, has never done anything to stop these attacks. In fact, we have police stations around the area, but during the attacks, all the police officers, even those on duty, will hide in their camps. Timothy said one of the other issues is police in the area will tell them, we have to wait for an order for us to deploy. We don't just see attack and deploy. We follow laid down protocols. In this particular one of Sunday, 80 bandits came, sprayed bullets, shot, went into shops, took soda, ate ngumus and everything, KDF and everything else, laughing and saying, in the KDF. Shooting, I'm just assuming. They killed 2 people, they injured others, they left with their loot. There's a police station at Koitilial Center. There's a polytechnic at Koitilial Center. There's a school, a secondary school at Koitilial. When you hear there's a school, a polytechnic, this means it's actually a proper urban center.
Indeed.
And they came and left. Nothing happened. What exactly is going on? They are calling for the National Police Reservists to be deployed there. But Hussein says no to KPR because these are locals. Hakuna vile atakubali watu wao wapigwe. Same argument being used for KPR is the same one being used here by Hussein. And say, You see, if on the other hand, can you kill your brother who is a bandit, yet you're the police boss or you're the head of KPR?
Because these fellows are known to them. That's it.
It's a question we asked because, in all honesty, a thief cannot come to steal unless they have an idea of what it is they're coming to steal.
Yeah, they know the lay of the land.
Yes, and to know the lay of the land, either you have information about it or you have somebody who is part and parcel of that land, and so they can give you intimate details.
And continues to feed you, because this is not just one time. This is not just one-off information.
No.
This is the continuous bleed of information coming to you. So you have an idea. You have an idea that, okay, look, because this cattle, for example, that they took, just as an example that they took on Sunday, belongs to people.
Yep.
Right? So you know that you're coming into this area and there's a certain amount that you can get. If you're not known to the area, how else would you know that there's somebody who's feeding you with this information on a regular basis? That you know you can come in and get, at least this number, and then you can go. Because it was clear what their intent was. It was clear what their intent was because they left with it. They left with it.
The question is, where do these animals end up? Because just like Ned was asking, 100 animals.
Those are not few animals.
That's not
You'd be grazing them somewhere, and we can track where they're being grazed.
If they were still around.
So where do they go?
And how far will they travel in 2 days? Today is Wednesday.
Yes.
This was Sunday. How far are they going to go without being able to trace them in 2 days?
Not only that, people who are pastoralists, people who deal with cattle, believe me, they can tell.
Yep.
They know these are our cattle.
Yes.
These are not. In fact, the identification process is so precise, you'll be amazed. So those cattle are not in the vicinity of where they were taken from. Because word would come around that, the cattle that they're here. But you never hear of that, do you? No. The cattle just seems to disappear into thin air.
And that's what has been happening.
And like Timothy was saying, in the previous attacks of cattle rustling, there would be trace and retrieve.
Yes.
And you'd hear, okay, so the animals that were stolen from this area have been found in this area and they've been returned to the community. In this particular instances, we don't hear anything like trace and retrieval.
They disappear.
They disappear. So where do they go?
Where do they go?
There's something that must be said. For them to disappear, there must be a destination.
Yeah.
And so you have to ask the question, where would such large numbers of cows go to, where they would become amorphous? So they're just there, as we say. And then, where would they also be, where the actual identity can also be disappeared? Meaning, if they are dead and then they become beef,
that's it.
That's the end of that story.
You can't get them back.
No, that story has come to an end.
Yes.
And then you have a situation where the hides and skins also have a source where they go to immediately.
Yep.
Now, that, in my opinion, is where they've disappeared. there's no identifier for the beef. And once the hides become a leather product, that story has also come to an end.
So there's conversion that has to take place.
Precisely. You're
Move
given
from animal to meat.
to end product.
Yes.
Now, you tell me, what sort of mechanism would we have in this country where, if you go back into history, you have a situation where the government actually formed a unit to deal with cattle rustling, a security unit. And the composition of this unit were people who came from areas where there were pastoralists, meaning people who knew the lay of the land, knew the thinking behind these things. It was a very successful unit. Extremely.
And the training that the ATPU goes through is similar to the training that GSU go through.
Yes.
Rigorous training in those terrains. So they understand terrain. They understand how to operate in these tough terrains. It's not Kiganjo.
No. This one goes beyond Kiganjo.
It is beyond Kiganjo.
In fact, the headquarters of this particular anti-stock theft used to be Gilgil.
Yes.
Not Kiganjo, not Nairobi, Gilgil. So,
for rapid deployment.
Yes. Because from Gilgil, you can easily move into those areas where you have many pastoralists. So you ask yourself the question. Locals, no. When we listened to our two callers, it was clear, to our two guests rather, that within the communities, they have a very clear idea where the bandits come from. They know.
Yep.
They can even identify individual bandits. They know. And remember, we're told they even give these reports to the police. So the question that I asked before, which I'm going to ask, I'll rephrase it. Who in our system of government is so powerful that even when things go up the chain and get to the cabinet secretary, the cabinet secretary is promised to do something and then just keeps quiet? What is it, or who are these people who are that powerful?
Meetings take place on how to address this issue once and for all. And the once does not happen.
Yes. Neither does the for all.
Neither does the for all.
And then it's almost as though you're looking that there's a silent hope once you've made the proclamation, right? You're sitting before people's security meeting and you say, you know what? You put on the stern face and you make those proclamations and you say, you know what? We will deal with this thing. In your mind, you know very well that there's no dealing with this thing that's happening.
Yeah.
This meeting will disperse. Everybody will go back to where they were. You will come back to Nairobi, and your silent hope is that maybe this thing will go away. But then you wake up on Sunday morning and these things happen.
This thing,
this thing is still here with us.
You know, I was thinking of a different scenario where you come enthusiastically and you feel, no, we need to solve this problem. And you actually go and look and say, okay, fine, this is what we're going to do. This one, no, we have to solve it. Then you
Natembea came and said, remember, we spoke to Natembea on this show and
he told us this one.
I was even telling my boss, Matiangi, this thing, we just need to deal with it here, disarm these people, blah, 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 blah. But Natembea is now running to Okoh is just gone to Trans Nzoia. Zip on that story.
Who would be powerful enough? Who? Which group of people? CS comes back to Nairobi and a quiet word is had with him and told him,
excuse me.
Mzee, iko namna hii. It is like this, This particular matter, there's this, there's that, and then there's that.
I don't even think it's keep quiet on this particular matter. What happens here? Because then we've seen what are the words that have come out of the mouth of the CS after he came back from his last trip to the Kerio Valley. We're focusing on elections. It is moving focus. It is now the other things that we need to be discussing right now. So this where you've come from is where you have come from. Let's
and next
focus
time
on
there's
something
a big
else.
outcry, we shall go there, have another meeting.
We'll do this again.
Talk tough.
We shall
blah,
revisit.
blah, blah, blah.
Literally, we shall revisit. But for now, you just focus on this other thing that you're supposed to be doing. So it's not even a dealing with the issue, CT. It's a let's refocus on something else.
Yeah. George is on the line from Nyeri. George, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm doing good.
Okay.
Yeah, before I make my contribution, on the last few days when it reaches at 9:50 a.m.,
yes,
90.9 goes off and it's back some minutes after 10.
Yes.
So I actually never hear of the parting shots nowadays.
Pole sana. This is a phenomenon. It's not about us. Blame it on Russia. Well, it's not. It's called sun outage. It's called sun outage.
Yeah.
It affects satellite
Yeah.
communication.
Okay. Now, you see, when you plant a mango and you expect to get oranges, and you are surprised, kwa nini hii maembe inazaa machungwa, and you go and cut the branches expecting that now the maembe will produce machungwa.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen. You need now to go and uproot that maembe, go and get a seedling of machungwa and plant it.
Yes.
What is the cost of an AK-47?
I wouldn't
That's
know.
around that's around 350 to 700 US dollars. They are readily available in our country because our servicemen do use them. The cost of an M16 is rated maybe between 1,500 to 1,800 US dollars.
What's an M16?
An M16, that's a military grade weapon. Okay, I'm not an expert in weapons, but the little knowledge I have is used by the most elite forces.
Yes.
Yeah. Hiyo hutapata askari wa chief akiwa na M16. It doesn't happen that way. But we have a special unit in Kenya that maybe are issued with M16 on different occasions. So on bottom line, we need to know which unit does order the M16. How are the insurance of the previous years? And are they able to get out of the market? Because one, you need to know where are these people getting these weapons that the normal servicemen are not even issued with. Nani anawapatia?
Yes.
And so after you get from there, then you think that the government have the capability of tapping to their radio calls. If they are so sophisticated, they are using radio calls. Yeah, you see the government can tap into their radio calls because I know their frequencies are not that much complex.
The government controls frequencies.
Yes, yeah.
Yes.
And you see, these are not highly profile bandits whereby they use technology. So you can tap into their frequencies. And if they are using the mobile phones, you can tap the mobile phone from the hotspot and you'll get to every call from that region. Utajua unajua City ameambia mama watoto wekelea unga, nimeona
ninaleta ng'ombe.
Yeah. Ninaona leo tutakamua, you know. So it's the government that there's some people in the government that really don't want these peace in these areas. Because ilichukua muda gani to capture that forest road guy?
Yep.
Just a couple of days, 5 days.
5 days,
They were able
traveling
even to
across
tell
the
us-
country, going to a border, he was arrested.
Making the calls to his mother, we are able to get notified. So who is this that doesn't really want peace in this area?
That's a big question.
Yeah, I have a weird reasoning about it. Na haya ni maoni yangu, haya si maoni ya Standard Media wala SpiceFM. Could these people be using these bandits as a cover story? Whereby we only figure them as bandits who capture cows and all that, but they are training them or they are enabling them for another bigger thing. What is the bigger picture of this thing? Right now we have the KDF controlling Kenya Meat Commission, whereby Eric haezi peleka ng'ombe wake 200 na aseme hawa ng'ombe ni wangu. You have to
show.
To document at least how you have arrived to 30 cows na tuliacha ukiwa na kuku 6. You know how it happened overnight. Now you have a flock of cows.
Yeah.
So what is the real motive of these people? And who really doesn't want peace in that area?
Big questions.
Has to be asked.
Very big questions. Thank you very much, George.
Yeah, welcome.
Have a good day. Martin in Kajiado.
Yes, hi, hi, how are you?
Very well.
Very well, thank you.
My name is Martin, and I was very interested in this conversation today.
Yes.
Because we are also suffering the same ours is more or less theft of animals.
Where?
In Kajiado area, a place called Kisaju. Yesterday I got a call that they stole 35 of my goats, but they were not able to even pick all of them because the ones that they picked were the big ones. The small ones, they killed all of them. And it's been happening there.
Who are they?
Now the problem, we don't even know. And I think for that conversation, I think we need also to find out who are the consumers, because there has to be a market for those things. And if there's if there's a demand, then there's a market, and they have to be taken somewhere to be slaughtered.
Yep.
And it's been happening for the last 1 year. You look at now, a neighbor had 150 head of his cattle disappear. Another 30 goats disappear. So it has to be, I think, a coordinated thing whereby there is somebody who's consuming this stolen livestock. Yes, and it's happening in our place every 2-3 weeks. A guy, in the middle of the night, they come.
There's an attack. Martin, just describe for people who may not know, where exactly is Kisaju?
Kisaju is on your way to just before Isinya town, and it's off from the highway. It's about 5 kilometers.
So this is between Kitengela and Isinya. Yes.
And we've even formed committees of Nyumba Kumi there. We are trying to see if we can kind of rein on this issue of theft, but it's become too much. And they are targeting anyone who has cows, and it's like they come and they already know the area of the place. They've done a reconnaissance, so they come and they pick all the best animals, and they just disappear in the middle of the night. So I just wanted to add to contribute. In addition to all those areas where it's happening, I think it's even in our place. They have been. I don't know why it's also. There's no attacks, but they're coming and they're stealing. And most of them, what they do, they pick the biggest animal and slaughter it and let it, like, I don't know if it's a ritual or just a way of scaring the people. They cut the knife and they cut it and let blood just spill.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like sending a message.
It's like sending a message. Correct.
Thank you, Martin. Paulani Sana.
Yes. Yeah.
0719-012-600. These incidences of insecurity, do you think the government is incapable of dealing with the insecurity in Kerio Valley, in Laikipia, in Samburu, in parts of Turkana, and all these areas where we are seeing daily raids, heavily armed people?
Or better still, the question is, do we think that certain arms of government or individuals within certain arms of government and in fairly higher positions, are they complicit in these things? Because security, as we know, is the mandate and the responsibility of the government. And we have more examples than we can mention where security forces have very ably ensured that that mandate is carried out. Now, you're talking about theft. A cow isn't a small animal. Even goats are not small animals. So how do they just vanish? It's not... These smoke can vanish and we can say, but an animal, a live thing, a live creature, and in numbers, and it continues day in, day out, and the problems persist day in, day out, and no visible effort to stem it can actually be seen. One has to ask these questions, really.
Yeah.
Really?
Wangeshi is on the line from Nakuru. Good morning.
Morning, Latiff.
How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Say hello to your colleagues.
My colleagues, hello from Wangeshi.
Eric's colleagues also say hello, Wangeshi.
Thank you, Siti. And do.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, my contribution, like the previous caller said, this is my opinion. This is not SpiceFM, and it's not what is it called, Radio Africa.
Standard Group.
Standard Group, yeah.
Mm.
History repeats itself. There's nothing new under the sun. We are students of history, and we know how we moved. If it's the Kikuyus, they say we came from Zaire, from South Africa. The Luos came down the Nile. And what are the key things that would make people move? Drought, famine, and wars.
Mm.
And normally it would be wars over natural resources, water, land, minerals, those kinds of. But basically, it used to be, when the water and grazing land.
Yep.
Could it be that this has become very sophisticated, of course, underpinned by political reasons, to displace certain groups of people? Because I read one time in one of the main dailies that in these areas of Baringo and those boundary areas, these people are moving out. They're actually moving out because they've been impoverished.
Yep.
They have nothing to eat. Their cattle are gone up to kuku. So it might look like the previous caller said, it might look like it's just it's a cover-up. You repeatedly, I know people who have moved out of certain areas in for instance, Nairobi suburb, or for instance, remember Ngong?
Yep.
Because every night, every once a month, every twice a month, the robbers come. So they left their big mansions and came back to town.
Yep.
So it could be a very strategic, very clever way of pushing boundaries, expanding some counties by infringing on others. And the same thing about that Kisaju caller. It could just be a way of telling that this is not your land, get out. Using economic to... Because if you're impoverished, you'll just leave.
You go.
You will go. If it's again, it might take years, might even take a decade, but finally you'll find boundaries have moved. Because that day he said, the areas in Baringo that have now been, even they've changed the names of those centers. The names used to belong to the group that has been displaced.
You know what you're saying has relevance in our history.
Yes.
Because what started around 1992 and then proceeded in 1997 when it became a big thing and then onwards, what we refer to as tribal clashes.
Yes.
Unfortunately, they only occurred when we had an election round the corner.
Yes.
And you could see the movement of people. So essentially, that movement altered electoral patterns immediately.
Exactly.
And one saw it continuously and repeatedly. So if we go with that history, what you're saying is not far-fetched at all.
I believe so. That's my hazard guess.
Thank you, Wangeshi.
Karibuni sana and continue doing the good work.
Asante sana. Have a lovely day in Nakuru.
I'm sure this time, this one is touching some underbelly. Because you see now, politics is about public opinion.
Yes.
We are changing perceptions. The people are beginning, it's no longer this 2-minute snip shot we see on NTV or KTN News at prime time. You're informing people that there is more that needs there, and it's not right for human beings to be treated the way these people in these areas are being treated. It's not right.
Indeed.
Yeah.
28 minutes to 10, Kenya's biggest conversation. Time for us to take that break. How's the weather going to look like? Ndu was telling us it was going to rain the day before yesterday. Today is the day after yesterday.
Even Saturday will be a day after yesterday.
And a day before another day.
Yes.
You just did not specify when yesterday was.
Thank you.
Okay, so...
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
I like listening to you guys. You're the default radio station in my car in the morning. Even the children listen to you guys.
I agree Parliament has failed this country. And I will say it again. We have not done what we should have done.
We know in this country, the Kenya prison sector is one of the most underfunded sector.
The way it is being done and the way we are calling it Huduma Number Msema Kweli is because all records will be there. You know, there are people who are now billionaires with no history as to how they got all these assets.
Yes. Anything that the president does that is not in accord with the constitution is an illegal act. You know, he shouldn't be doing it and should be sitting here and trying to sort of guise it up.
I totally believe live transmission of results and allowing Kenyans to be able to view all these results. I believe that it will be impossible to steal elections.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
All right, the sun is peeking through those clouds in Nairobi. Today, we will see highs of 27 and lows of 16. 21 degrees and sunny in Nakuru. 29 will be the high and lows of 15. 15 will also be the low in Nyeri, where it's mostly cloudy at 19, going to highs of 28. Eldoret, mostly cloudy at 20. 28 will be the high and lows of 13. And we're looking at light rain still continuing in Mombasa at 31. Highs of 33 and lows of 26. Malindi raining as well at 31, highs of 32 and lows of 27, while Kisumu is cloudy at 23. It'll go to highs of 29 and lows of 20. Kakamega, it's raining now at 24, highs of 30 and lows of 16, while in Kampala, we'll see mostly cloudy conditions at 22, highs of 27 and lows of 18. Dar es Salaam, partly sunny at 28, highs of 31 and lows of 25, while it's sunny in Johannesburg at 16, highs of 23 and lows of 14. It's mostly sunny in Lagos at 28, highs of 33 and lows of 27. Cloudy conditions in Kinshasa, 34 will be the high and lows of 23. It's raining out in Beijing at 9, we'll see highs of 11 and lows of 1, while it's sunny in Paris at 4. It'll go to highs of 20 today and lows of 3. Still a foggy morning in London at 6, highs of 20 today, and New York clear at 8 degrees, still Tuesday night. Coming into Wednesday, we'll see highs of 9 and lows of 5.
Classic soul, R&B, smooth jazz, neo soul, and nostalgic ballads.
Make some noise. Yeah.
You're listening to Spice FM.
Still seeing that bothersome traffic on Mombasa Road this morning, and we're looking at in and outbound, especially as you're going towards and away from the Imara section, and it's going well in towards the southern bypass. So outbound traffic on Mombasa Road doesn't look too pretty this morning. What else are we seeing on North Airport Road? That's still quite heavy, going out towards Outer Ring today. Langata Road, well, it was clearing up, but then it seems to be piling up a little bit here and there, just past the Pangani underpass on the Thika Superhighway. So we're still seeing some traffic here. And Kiambu Road, although much better, just a little bit. The remaining dregs of traffic this morning. Coming out of traffic hour, still a little bit here and there, but I think we've done rather well this morning. Let's continue seeing what it looks like through the morning on SpiceFM KE on Twitter. Text 40127.
Sugar and spice and everything nice. Everything nice.
Spice up your life. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4.
Going on our YouTube stream. Between Killian and Otieno, Killian said, who gives you people this so wrong weather forecast? Where is it raining in Mombasa? Or is there another Mombasa elsewhere?
That's why we say some parts.
Otieno says, Killian, it's not a weather update. It's a weather forecast. Forecast means prediction.
So calm down.
Killian. Hey, pewa Sipladon.
Indeed. Tension will be highly reduced.
Hey, it works. I had a headache at 7 o'clock. The Sipladon that I was given by Ndu. Put in some water.
It did the business, didn't it?
Dissolved. I did good. By the time the news was over, I was okay.
You were seeing clearly?
Yeah. But then again, we spoke with Neddy and Timothy.
The headache came back.
You know what is interesting is you don't hear much about the anti-stock theft unit. Yet, they have over 2,500 personnel deployed in 13 field units all over the country. Now, most of them are on horseback. The terrain they work in, you can have these huge four-wheel drives, they may not assist you very much. Now, maybe we have a problem. No, why don't I rephrase that question? I don't think we have enough horses for all the personnel. But this is where now...
Horses.
Okay. Faras.
So.
The relative of the donkey.
Got it.
Now, you see...
So the horses do shifts. Wacha hii farasi kupeleke alafu inikujie.
Yes, exactly. So it gonna GPS. So once it takes you, it knows how to come.
You.
Yes, exactly.
Comes back for the next one.
You know what is strange is that our neighbor just across the border here, Ethiopia, those guys have a stock of over 3 million horses, meaning the horses which are native to. When we have these discussions with our neighbors, surely, can we not import horses? Ethiopia is just here. I have 3 million horses, surely.
Yeah. All right.
And the horses are integral to the work of these individuals. Anyway, what I will just mention.
0719-012-600. Is the government incapable of dealing with the insecurity in Kerio Valley, in Laikipia, in Turkana, in Samburu, all these places where we are seeing constant raids? People are being killed. It's not a joke. On Sunday, like we were being told by Timothy, he's a villager in a place called Koitilial. People came with guns. Not one, not two, not three, 80 people. So they come to Koitilial, they take over the area, they shoot, they kill 2 people, they leave 6 others wounded, they steal their cattle, they go with their cattle, and there is not a care in the world. Just 2 days prior, at another village, a woman with her children looking after their livestock. These chaps come, do the same thing. They shoot her, they take her animals, they go away. And as they're going, they call the villagers in this woman's village. Taunting them. Sasa nyinyi watu bure kabisa nyinyi.
After we've come to cause trouble for you.
Tumekuja tumefiatua risasi, you don't even come out. Anyway, go pick that woman, we've killed her. What absolute nonsense is this? And it's happening in Kenya. You know, we're sitting... If this were happening in one part of Nairobi, let's say this was happening in Westlands, and then what?
You know what is also strange? Ndu's favorite topic, the value of human life, or the value we've given human life. You see, the level of impunity with which these people go about their business, it's like they have this understanding that nothing will happen. There's something very interesting that Neddy said. She said, some of these areas where these bandits come from, these things we take for granted like schools, good roads, health facilities, they don't have.
Never had.
Yes. So when you talk about neglect, they're at the tail end of it. Meaning, if you want to give an example of neglect, you choose that area and say, okay, if you want to understand what neglect is, it is this one here.
And the area, we're not talking about at like a small estate, this is South B, Golden Gate, or Plainsview, South B. No. We are talking about Nairobi County, Kiambu County, Machakos County, all together is one constituency called Tiati.
Yes. One.
Not a single kilometer of tarmac road. Not one school.
So how do you want to explain this? And then you're surprised that this is the bedrock of where all these delightful bandits come from.
Why would you? Yeah.
You know, what we are seeing here has gone beyond banditry. You know, this is now crime against humanity. If you look at the war that emanated when Yugoslavia broke out, there are people who would go around, them the ones stealing cattle, they're just killing people. And many of them thought and believed nothing would happen. Oh, something did happen. Milosevic.
It caught up with them.
Oh, yes. your acolytes, and all these people, who some even had gone to the position where they were president of a country. They told, come here. When you are commanding this and this unit, these are things that you did. Okay? There's something else that Neddy said, that some of these people aren't even aware of the level and the depth of the atrocities they're committing. And I would concur with what they're saying. You see, if you leave someone, or someone has been the most native form that they could be, meaning generations at time have not changed them, because they have no exposure, except for this harsh terrain, harsh life. So what we are seeing and remarking about, for them, it's a normal way of life. It's not even something they consider to be a big thing.
It's a development, because they are receiving some heavy weaponry. So this is the Mandela. Them, they know Mandela. Oh, so-and-so has given us arms. We're going to attack. We have better guns than the others we had 17 years ago. This is Mandela to them. Lydia in Parklands, good morning.
Good morning, SpiceFM. Thanks, Eric, Ndu and City, for your good debates.
Asante.
I wanted to say that a Pokot guy had spoken to the media that he works as a guard in Nairobi, but he doesn't want to go to his country home because if he doesn't rob your cattle and your sheep and kill your shepherd boys, he will be called a jinga. So it is their culture that they must rob your cattle and your sheep and even kill to look like heroes. And I was surprised one day I saw a politician with a huge big truck full of cows and for auction during elections. So now these politicians are getting ready to make money for elections. And a big truck. Some farmers wonder, how could 500 cows of mine go missing? And suddenly not even one can be seen around. Because they take the truck waits at a distance. While they tie the farmers and kill the farmers, they push them all into the truck, and instantly they are all gone. Not one to be seen around.
Yeah, it's a big
So
one.
these are land grabbers and cattle grabbers. It is their
They're
culture.
criminals. Thank you, Lydia. Paul in Mount Narok, good morning.
Hey, morning.
Morning.
It's Bull. Hi, guys. You do a great job. I just started listening to you not long ago. And whatever being discussed, it's sad and sickening. A few days we had this problem.
Paul, we have an issue. Your line is not clear, Paul. Let's see if we can get you on a clearer line. Try calling again, Paul, and thank you for calling. I see Dennis in Minnesota was on the line. Dennis, you can call again. We can pick your call and put you on air as we continue the conversation. 0719-012-600. Insecurity, these incidences of, we just talk about, bandits have attacked a certain area, 2 people have died, 3 people have died. Over 120 people have died in a span of less than 1 year, being killed by people who are heavily armed. And we have security apparatus in this country.
Over
the
800
largest
head of
portion of our budget goes to security.
And with those statistics, you're looking at 120 people died. We don't have the statistics in terms of how many people have been injured. We do know that almost 1,000 head of cattle have been reported missing. 1,000 in 8 months. This is what has been reported. We don't know the ones that have slipped through the cracks. People have lost their livelihoods. Because again, we need to look at the fact that for these areas, livelihood depends on cattle and livestock.
Yep.
Right? So people's livelihoods disappeared in
Just like that.
Just like that. Snap of the fingers. Disappeared. No explanation for it. No compensation. No interventions in terms of what can be done in the meantime. Promises full of hot air, unfortunately.
Meetings being held by the senior most person in government, apart from the president and the deputy cabinet secretary for the interior, Dr. Fred Matiang'i, says this is what's going to happen. Tomorrow! Tomorrow! It's been more than 40 days and tomorrow hasn't come. Eliud in Eldoret, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you today?
I'm fine, and how are you?
We're very well. Asante sana for calling.
Thank you. So I want to make my contribution pertaining to the issue of the 23 ladies, Maragat, especially Keria Valley.
Yep.
So I'm a son of Keria Valley, who was affected by the pandemic attack in Keria Valley. So like last year, around October, November.
Yep.
So I have a classmate who was shot by those bandits. And then the end result was that his aunt was amputated in one of the mission hospitals in Maragat, that's Kapsor Mission. Okay, while he was receiving treatment, among those who carried the action called him, because those are people who are known. So they called him and told him, despite recuperating in hospital, we will also ensure that we shall kill you.
Hey.
So that issue of banditry is something that we cannot say that the people who are carrying the activity are not known. Personally, I say they are known because even their chiefs knows their people. But it is the challenge is that they don't want to conceal the information to the government. And also, as for me, I want to an extent of asking myself that why is the government failing to protect the lives of the people of Keria Valley? And also, I want to an extent of concluding to myself that might it be a punishment to the people of Keria Valley as a result of touching shoulders between the deputy president and the president. So that's something that myself I concluded. That's not even opinion of different person.
Wow.
So,
Elliot, I want to ask you about your friend.
Okay.
So is he out of the hospital now?
Yes, he's out of the hospital.
Has he gone back to his village?
Yes, he's in the village.
And have those attackers called him again?
No, that was only the last time they called him, and they only threatened him while he was in hospital.
Hey, what does he say about that? What does he feel about that?
No, you know, the man was worried because after being injured and also losing a hand, can you just imagine a scenario whereby you are being made to be like disabled, something that you are not born with.
Yeah.
Okay. So the man is just carrying his own course at village.
Mwambie pole sana. Thank you for calling, Eliud.
Okay, thank you.
Asante. Dennis.
Yes.
Hello, and how are you? How is Minnesota?
Minnesota is good. It's cold, but it's okay.
Okay. Thank you for calling in.
Yes. So I like the discussion that you guys have this morning. I want to make a contribution regarding, you asked a very good question. Is the government incapable in dealing with security in Keria Valley?
Yep.
So I want to say that human life is sacred. And security is paramount towards a stable economy. So we all I can say is that causes and effects of insecurity in Kenya, they have been attributed to many things. Before we talk about this insecurity, we need to talk about what leads to insecurity. We need to know the cause of this. We have hate and incitement through hate speech. Yeah, so I want to say, in human being, security is the most precious thing because it gives us a peace of mind. And when there is no security, the economy and the people, they have no peace of mind.
That's true.
And when the insecurity cases increase, people live in discomfort life, in fear, you know. So robbers also interfere with the security. Maybe in a family or in business, you know, they can do anything when they get a chance, like taking people's valuables and messing up through raping and hacking, you know. So I want to say that insecurity has become a major cause. You know, it's really a big issue. Globally, not only in Kenya, but globally.
It's a big one. Thank you very much for your call, Dennis, and have a lovely day in Minnesota. Sylvanas in Eldoret. We've lost Sylvanas, who was on the line. The conversation continues, and we're saying 0719-012-600 is the number that you can call this morning. Is the government incapable of dealing with these incidences of insecurity in various parts of the country? Is it really?
Incapable?
No. It's very capable.
Very, very capable. I mean, I think they are, like we've said, I mean, we've over and over. And, you know, I don't think it's too much to keep saying that we have very many examples of when the government has done above and beyond in terms of trying to sort out issues that can be likened to this. So then it just is very clear in my mind, and I think to the minds of others who may not even want to voice it out, that there's something else going on here. That there's a reluctance to do something about it in a situation where they're highly or overly capable to do. There's a reluctance.
They just don't do it.
They just don't do it because they don't want to.
Sylvanas in Eldoret.
Good morning, Eric.
Good morning.
I think this issue of insecurity in the valley, I think it's combined with a couple of issues, maybe politics, and then the issue of pasture also for livestock. So I think it is something that can be solved. Maybe only the government has just not taken it seriously. But it's something that it can be sorted out.
They can deal with it. Thank you, Sylvanas. Jack in Eldoret, good morning.
Morning to you people.
Good morning.
Ndu, we are waiting to rain. So, do tunakudai.
Don't worry. 3:37 today.
If it doesn't rain today, furniture will move around. So, this issue about the cattling, rustling, and insecurity, blah, 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 what? This thing, it seems it has been commercialized. It seems there are some people who are well established, so that we cannot even afford to talk about them. Because you can see, is it difficult for Kenya kunyang'anya watu sila? Where are they getting the weapon from? And it is very expensive. A lot of sophisticated weapons are being used. No. Kwani, do you think it is not hard for them? It is because they don't want. Yeah, and there might be some powerful people behind it.
Okay. Thank you, Jack. It is, as you hear everybody saying, look, there is no way that the government is actually unable to deal with this issue. So they all keep, the question that keeps emerging is, so why aren't they dealing with the issue? What needs to happen? What will it take for this to be sorted out once and for all? Because it can be a once and for all situation. If you deploy the military in the area, will it solve the issue? Well, you've seen in areas where there's persistent insecurity, like in Lamu County, a multi-agency operation goes on and there are military officers deployed.
We had issues in Kapedo.
Yep.
What did we see?
Similar.
Precisely. So it isn't as though we haven't had situations which are similar to this. And in each case, we will talk about the history of how it was dealt with, and the problem disappeared. It was dealt with conclusively. So the question that has to be asked, because this situation raises more questions than it raises answers.
It does, fortunately.
Why is it that the action that the government knows far better than we do needs to be taken is not being taken? Why is it that you don't hear of people being brought to book in the numbers that they should be? Because Our intelligence forces know with great certainty who the individuals are and why they're involved. We're not dealing with some opaque situation. We are the ones who don't know.
Yeah.
We're the ones who can play a guessing game. The government is not guessing. They know.
They know.
With clarity and with certainty, they know.
They know who it is.
Yes.
Ati mtu akitaka Cipladol anaenda wapi?
Sasa,
Kwa chemist?
Uko na maumivu.
Ya kichwa,
Chukua Cipladol.
mgongo, meno,
Everything.
magoti, kisigino.
Hata uchungu wa roho jamani.
Wow, heartbreak. Anyway, 2 times faster will work and sort out that pain for you. All your good pharmacies and all your Chandarana supermarkets works twice as fast as your normal paracetamol. Sort out these issues really quickly. And then if symptoms persist, we ask you to seek medical advice. Cipladon, 500 mg, sweetened with aspartame, 1000 mg, which is a neutral flavor, but it will sort out those issues for you really quickly.
Available over the counter at a chemist. Okay. City. Mali.
Yes, we come to an end with our visit to that particular country, and this is what I have to say. If you must decide where you are going, do so in the evening. Because if you don't, and you plan to leave very early in the morning, you will have issues. That is me paraphrasing the proverb, which simply states, you must decide where you are going in the evening if you intend to leave early in the morning.
Jipange na mapema.
Like the way we know we are coming here tomorrow at 6, we start
preparing
today.
Yes. So that when you are here early in the morning, you're already prepared. No, you don't come here to prepare. You're prepared. Yes.
Thank you very much for tuning in to Kenya's biggest conversation today. Join us tomorrow morning. Justice Thursdays will be here bright and early, God willing, from 6 a.m. up to 10 a.m. Now until 11 is music, and then Yolanda and DJ Absolute will be here. Sugar and spice and everything nice. Have a lovely day. It's 10 o'clock.
The latest news from around the world. 94.4 Spice FM.
Good morning.